watch parties for Moist Moguls versus the entire Koala fam in the chat for M80. And, well, the readout towards C from Moguls finds nothing. Meanwhile, 5 stacked up out towards A.
And Moist, they've only played this map once recently against Shopify. They took that victory, but M80 just looks so clean on it. In the meantime, for this pistol round, though, it's going to be the entry and that plan towards the A site.
Spike planted.
The timing, though, but johnqt is ready for it.
And John just has nowhere to go, unfortunately. No alarm bot here in this round. That turret doesn't find him, so this C push pays off beautifully. 2 early kills here in the retake, and the rest of M80 are completely crunched onto the site. koalanoob gonna do his best to try and whittle the numbers down. Zander also gonna try his hand at it as Aproto and brawk hop back into the kill feed. And just like that, the pistol round to Moist Moguls.
Very nice to see. M80, they were ready for that flank to come through, but they could not answer in time, and they couldn't even position in time before getting spotted by the side of Moist. So pistol round going the side of the defense. And it seems like in such a good read. That is one of the things that have made a difference in the past 3 weeks for the side of Moist. The reading in that mid-round has been on point and even better than some of the top things. And all the teams that they got to take down, right? It was the FaZe, it was TSM, it was Shopify, all those big names that people know about. And Moist, they've been taking them down and reading them every single time.
Yeah, M80 don't want to give up that easily, though. Get that spike planted. And in the next round, we find them forced up. 4 stingers and a sheriff. Squala going to take this C site. And almost the inverse, where I thought they were going to get a little aggressive out towards A. Instead, they're rotating through the spawn, but they completely give up C, ready to retake.
And they get that information thanks to Aproto, those up close and personal. But just a matter of time waiting for everybody to be up together and push this C site.
Cover going out.
To get the first kill.
Yeah, you laid out towards mid. It seems Aproto ready for this one here. Sim gonna work his way on Guardian in hand. The rest of the team just behind him as NiSMO gets a bit of damage, but a bit of damage isn't enough to win you a round. A bulldog in hand, but forced to rack the bolt. Finds eeiu buried inside the garage connector. And a force round that does not go their way means Moist Moguls up 2-0.
And potentially 3-0 with the way things could go down for M80. Obviously, the economy is not going to really help them out for this round. And again, the way that Moist was playing this defense is so interesting. You're going to have Aproto on this garage B side more often than not. And so he's able to make that quick rotation. But yeah, the patience is everything. And for these quote-unquote newer teams and teams that people are just hearing off right now, the coordination for those executions, it's everything. And Moist is doing it to perfection so far.
And I like that the bank shot on the paint shells there. It makes it to where once they get into lobby, you're getting that explosion in the bouncing betties. No delay on that one, but doesn't matter. Nonetheless, M80, they dodge out on that one. Ooh, Zander put in a tough spot. He steps right onto the nano swarm. Another light buy here. It should not affect things too much. This might, however. Zander took damage. He can't plant.
Going out.
And again, is that delay with the killer utility now finally going for the plan, but Moist just waiting right outside and ready to execute at the same time. Go for those trades. The first one is Sim, and he gets it.
Yep, Sim blast packs his way on. The rest of Team M80 just cannot wrap their hands around anybody from this Moist Mogul squad. Finally, johnqt neutralizes one, but 4 still stand. And Moist Moguls have put 3 rounds in a row together, but this is where the game starts for M80.
Now flee.
And it has to start for M80 as soon as possible. I think it's so interesting to see, and we got to see at the desk, the analysts were talking about it. M80 and the first bloods that they get is about 63%, which is ridiculous. It's insane that they're getting away with so many of those first bloods. And so it comes down to what we just got to see that last round, Sim being able to perform to the same level. And in so many scenarios, even when they had that last match against TSM, brawk is doing the same, and everybody's able to step up in some scenarios, but you have to be looking at Sim to be doing this constantly.
We'll see if he
It's an
lives
aggressive
up to
one.
it. Oof. And aggression punished. Looking to be aggressive out towards mid. Instead, it's brawk out towards A long, and Walla makes quick work of that one. Meanwhile, johnqt caught on the rotate back to the team, and that's the spike. So right now, at the very least for Moist Moguls, they know where the spike is at. They're not really making a play for it specifically. It's only Sim, that player that you mentioned, to be on the backstep, but they know that the time has been stalled for just a moment.
And the one kill is going to be everything. That kill utility no longer available for this post one scenario, or to hold this lurk that they know is coming from Sim.
Bomb grenade out. Can't use that yet.
They know it's coming, but how do they know it's coming, right? Because he had fallen back when they went to go get the spike. He's taking the long way around, and they're completely unsuspecting. The spray down lands. Another player underneath Heaven with the paint shells might be in a bit of trouble as he pushes through. Zander dealt with, and Moist Moguls do it again. 4 rounds in a row.
And for M80, right, the way that they've been playing these rounds and the way that they always like to play is so fast, so quick. You don't see one of them, you don't see the killjoy usually staying behind. Everybody pushing together, going for that A control. And even though they have a confidence that they finally have it, there's these angles and
Bomb grenade.
kind of the lack of information even after losing that killjoy early on. They cannot this to happen because again, Moist are ready for it.
M80, the shotgun style Valorant that seemingly in the last couple of weeks, at least 2 out of 3, has been dealt with. The guard found a way to deal with that one, kind of stunting the attack of this team that likes to be in your face, and Moist Mogul's doing it right here as well. And a player mentioned in Sim, offline I've been calling him the Fuse. I was mentioning it with you, Dryad, in the green room, whereas this guy's a fuse. You never know what it's going to be like, though. Some days it's a short fuse, and this guy explodes like he's doing today. Other days, a bit longer of a fuse. Either way, stealing the name from the bomb squad is Sim alone being so explosive. Meanwhile, hero rifle up towards B, koalanoob allowed a kill.
And this is when you start punishing a little bit more of this defense, when they start playing alone together. And even though that flash was good, again, reaction in time from M80. For the first time, though, having that numbers advantage to work with, it's still an eco. And they can't commit to this with that Rolling Thunder from NiSMO.
Bomb buddy out.
And Boombot slows things down for just a second. M80 going back to tried and true. Slam the A site. This time Brawk. Brawk escapes death. Not going to take that duel just yet. Here comes that Rolling Thunder, though. They want to try and stay on the fight. This is what they've done round after round. Here comes the rocket, though. Nobody dealt with. Instead, it's Sim to fall. koalanoob opening up this round in this site once more as the spray comes through. One rifle was all they needed, but now they've gotten themselves a couple. The blades are still online, and Thief and Aproto in a rough spot.
And the last 2 players here, difficult scenario to deal with 2v4. And yeah, it started as an eco round. But the Vandal for NiSMO really made a difference. Also allowing that Rolling Thunder to be available to give that entry to the A site. The showstopper not connecting. And these are the kind of rounds that we are expecting from M80. That patience and trying to play around it. The Thief had a sword to save, but never mind, is denied by M80 as they get the first round.
M80 finally on the board. Koala finding that early pick in the round and then finding another. I mean, finding that early pick and then having the blades. I don't think he tossed the rifle over at that point until a bit later. Maybe he had given it over to NiSMO, but I mean, this is huge, especially when if that rocket finds a kill. I believe it was Brawk who was tucked in short and found a kill for himself as well. So that really could have thrown a wrench into this thrifty round that M80 were looking to pick up. But either way, Koala back to form in that previous round. M80 finally on the board. This time it's a bit slower.
And it has to be slower. They found success from that slow beginning of that round before, where you can punish a little bit more of Moist. And they've talked about it. The players, sometimes you're over peeking, sometimes you're holding those angles when you don't have to and getting taken down early on. If that starts to happen, then that's how M80 are able to come back to those four rounds that Moist have right now.
I am the hunter!
Ooh, Hunter's Fury, that'll get out one of the updrafts. Koala's gonna try and run him down, though, and there's just no escape for Brawk, unfortunately. Tries to make a big play, but the big play is now in the hands of Koala, who finds 2 early kills again. Zooms the A site and puts Moist Moguls in a rough spot. Only 3 remain, and it looks like they're looking to save.
And again, another very early play. Way too early for Moist. Nobody was tagged. There was no drone, there was no attack, there was no anything to use that Hunter Sphere, just hoping to get something into slow, maybe that push that was coming from long. But it just such a high risk play. Doesn't end up getting any value. And that's the thing about M80. Once they get those first bloods, they start to snowball more and more and shut down all the plays that could be coming from Moist. So something to be aware of. The slower that they get, especially.
It's only 2 rounds, but it does make you think, right? Moist Moguls come into this one ready for the shotgun style. And now they're getting the Splinter Cell style. Right now they're getting the slow style, and it doesn't seem that they were predicting that M80 would be bringing this one to the table. But either way, they've done a pretty good job in the last couple of rounds in saving their economy, putting themselves in a good spot. And it looks like the light armor buys have kind of bled into this Moist Moguls roster.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I know there's different conversations about it. If it's working out, I'm happy. If it's not working out, I start to get a little bit more concerned for Moist. They had a pretty good lead, and these kind of leads by 4 rounds are the ones that once you let go, the mental can play a part in it.
Yeah, what's Tanny cooking? That's what we're all thinking. We'll see. We've got a couple of bits of utility. Oof, Sim put in a tough spot. Uses some util himself to get out of dodge. So aftershock down for NiSMO. Won't have that one for until the next round. As eeiu. Good information there. Spots out of Aproto. So they know where a few of the members of the defense are playing. Do they know that it's a heavier stack out towards A this time, though?
Yeah, there's no idea yet, but for M80 again, yeah, they can wait and wait a little bit longer for those 50 seconds because that lockdown was available towards garage, and that's why 3 players were fighting for this garage control. They get it, and this side of Moist, they just have to back up.
Yeah, if you can get this control, that lockdown is so huge. It leaves a small angle on the C site to play in, but that player is put on an island for so long. Everybody has to get so far away that, yeah, it is just absolutely not worth it. So clears everybody from the site. And look at where everybody's coming from as well. Everyone from the top side of the map. Rolling Thunder comes through and Aproto sits down eeiu. He thought he had the angle. I don't know if Koala was spotted. It doesn't matter. Inside the smoke. And his team is dying around him. As flyuh runs through, Koala does it again. It's Mr. Multi-Kill. 2 kills here in this round. For the last 3 rounds, he's done it. Now he tries to hang on with Zander. Plays out towards long. Koala with the dash on. 3 kills. Needs the 4th to try and close out the round. And Thief is only down to 15 HP. The tailwind used. The dash that creates the paranoia. Another smoke goes out. Unfortunately, Thief just has to stick, and he's not healthy enough to do it. Koala takes hold and finds a 3rd for M80.
And there's nothing scarier than seeing Koala go absolutely insane these rounds. This is why they have so many first bloods on the side of M80, why they have so many first bloods and so much success during that split number 1. And he's had one of the best performances that we've seen this year for North America. The potential of that happening again is something that, again, Moist, they need to deny as soon as possible. Aproto gonna have a lockdown here. Once again, placing that utility towards B, towards garage. Go for a faster approach, but never mind. Sim immediately denied.
I mean, what is that guy doing? What is Koala doing? The guy is just pushing up through a stun with the operator on attack, mind you. But that's what works every time. And we've seen it for the last 3 rounds. Koalanoob is awake. Koala had a little bit longer of a fuse than Sim did. But now he's starting to blow.
And again, it's just so terrifying when this starts to happen, when Sim starts to go down. But now, okay, Aproto answers back.
Yeah, great shot there, taking down Koala. Stunting that reign of terror. 4 kills in the last round. Does not find another here. And this one is Aproto. Matches 4 for 4. But it ends up in a 1v1, no less. M80 still have a chance to tie us up here in this round. And a lot of information off the back end of eeiu's drone, which I believe is headed the wrong way. Peek back sight for just a moment. See if he's expecting him to be here. On the angle, they take the fight, and eeiu wins it. Aproto did his darndest, but it just was not enough, and we're all tied up.
M80 have the highest clutch percentage from any team that we've seen, and especially when it's eeiu. I feel like you're always expecting him to get it. And honestly, it is frustrating. Aproto was fighting back, was 5 HP when he got the 3rd and 4th kill, but the 1v1, there's only so much that you can control. So things are tied up 4-4. for the defense, still trying to fight and find an answer back.
And I'll be the first to say it, I don't think that that's the answer. Sim running up A long has
There's
either
also
been...
Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, Sim making this play, last round he died. 2 rounds, or this round, he's forced off of that smoke. The round before he died early, he's forced off. There's just nothing that he can get done out there. They need to just give up this site and allow the retake to happen, but Koala's just too quick. Now gonna go up into heaven. Sim will finally punish, so 1 for 1 is where we land. NiSMO forced off the plant for just a moment. But a rough start to the round. It's been equalized for now.
Initiated.
Spike planted.
And Aproto has been holding onto this lockdown for a little bit longer, and it works perfectly for this kind of retake onto the A site. It's 4v4, Koala's down, there's a chance.
And just unsuspecting, and there might be enough time. Nope, not enough time to destroy that one. Zander sneaks away, completely detained though. Deep gonna hop onto the spike, look to get this one halfway before fighting with the rest of the team to try and secure the round and reclaim their lead. 3 still alive though as we go back and forth. NiSMO taking control. It's no Koala, it's NiSMO this time around. The second half of that dynamic duo of M80, and it's them who reclaim the lead.
The players that were short, so annoying to deal with. And Mois are not able to answer back. I think as well, Aproto, like you said, unsuspecting that there was going to be one player holding, that was going to be Zander. With a high risk, knowing that he was going to get detained most likely, but a 1 kill until the killjoy does everything to give the numbers and give the round to M80. As we continue to see this a little bit slower start of the rounds that end up in the explosive fashion that we know M80 for.
And you know what? If there was information on koalanoob's position, I don't blame Aproto for being in that situation. Because if I suspect anybody to try and stay on the site through the lockdown, it's Koala, not Zander. Well, that just wasn't the case. It's 2 players here on the C site. They want to fight for it. Koala takes a bit of damage and trying to hold on to it, and Aproto's still here. Forced to swap weapons, always out of ammo. Koala's been dealt with. John's down as well, stuck inside the Omen form. And Zander goes down, and eeiu, the left of the last one standing, tagged up by the recon bolt and quickly being run down. It's flyuh on the backstab, and it's Moist Moguls back in the win, calling to tie us up once more.
Good round as well. Once again, we get to see the lurk coming through the flank for Moist with 2 of the players, I believe, that ended up pushing from C long. And it was what they were doing on those early rounds, the first 4 rounds that they got in a row. And now adding the factor of Aproto managing to stay on side and getting 2 kills. This is why we've been talking about this guy. It seems like sometimes he's invisible to everybody else, and he's always there and ready to go.
And Mr. Deadeye himself always seems to find a way to get 1, if not more. Oh no, Sim. Oh, the timing. Timing just so awful. Koala gonna try and survive, and he does so. He goes up, and well, the rest of Moist Moguls, they go down. M80 seized control of the round, 1 player ahead in an open C site.
These are the rounds that M80 absolutely love. When it's that aggression met, but it's still that surprise factor coming from them, especially on this attacking side. It's a 2v3 though, still doable, but yeah. One of the players here, Aproto, is gonna get spotted.
Last player standing.
Ooh, okay. Oh my God! I was gonna mention them being isolated, but it doesn't matter. A 2v3 that brawk just makes it a 1v3 and kills them all.
Oh, no.
brawk has it. And you love to see it as well. I think brawk, in the past couple days that we've seen him, or the past couple of weeks, he's gone from having really good performances to a little bit more shaky performances, maybe relying a little bit more on giving that support to everybody else in his team. But recently, last week and throughout this face-off, he's been stepping up for plays like that one. And this is the brawk that I know. This is the brawk that we know.
This is the brawk that showed on every highlight reel on Icebox, on every night's broadcast ever.
Yeah, it's good to see him. And again, they're going for this Hunter's Fury. This time around, they actually managed to tag the players early on and push them back. But NiSMO, again, Rolling Thunder for the first time in this half.
I think johnqt, even at the start of the round, took some spam damage or something out towards mid. While we were watching that Hunter Shuri, he was knocked down to 44 HP. Definitely could have died if he was also affected by that Hunter Shuri, but instead it's just Koala, which is arguably, if you're not going to get a kill, that's the target you want to land a shot on.
With 2 players, relatively low for M80. It looks good for Moise. Now, holding a little bit more into those positions, and the timing for the Hunter's Fury, even though it was from the same position, looked better. Just actually forcing M80 back. If they end up going to the B side, though, it is the same thing that happened before. That Killjoy utility, a nightmare to deal with.
Shock darts deal with the first. They'll pop the second, and Zander, that's actually where he wanted to go instead.
Left.
He'll be stunned up. Some time bought. Koala goes aggressive. Ooh, paint shells is going to force him. Backside here, the util usage has been good to stall, and here it is. Deadeye himself as he works his way through. Can't quite find the third. He was stunned up. Solo ulted by that Rolling Thunder, and this play has forced M80 out towards the seaside. Koala's in the back lines. I said he was low health, and that's who you wanted him to be, low health, but it might not matter until it does. Finally, brawk will silence, but NiSMO cuts it down. A 1v1, and NiSMO does not have to worry about the plant. That spike is already down. Same recon bolt we see, same jiggle peek. Out from brawk, who did it all himself in the last round. Tries to do it again. Here in this one, a shock dart at the feet. NiSMO not ready for the swing, and brawk will do it once more.
He did it once. He was, of course, going to do it again. Brawk with a clutch right at the end. And 7th round for Moist as we go into the second half.
Switching sides.
Looking really good for Moist. Got a little shaky. Started going more aggressive, especially when they like to go for the mid control and get a timing that doesn't always work out for Sim, but it doesn't matter. They recover and they take the advantage.
Wow. I don't even know how for the first 10 rounds. I guess if not every single round of that game. I guess that's the M80 style, though. I don't know how anybody could even develop a thought. The game was happening so fast, except for 2 rounds that M80 decided to take slow. I was sitting here struggling to keep up. As the barriers are closing, the round is over, and we're back to starting the next round. And I'm sitting here just still trying to catch my breath. I can't imagine what the players are feeling. Now we'll see, though. Do Moist Moguls want to keep up that same fast play style? It looks like they do. Oh!
No! Oh, 2 kills for koalanoob with the Sheriff as well. The big risk on the pistol round, and it's so good to see it work out. M80 in a 4v3.
Zander lets the angle slip just a bit. Brawk also took damage in all of that exchange. So this 4v3 is 4v2.5. Brawk has to be careful, but he does have information for his team. He does have shock darts. Looks like he wants to be hit the spear, though. Off of contact here from Zander. The stun goes out. 2 players affected by it. And,
Spike down.
well, it's all up to Aproto. Spots out NiSMO. Shots to the head through the box. Not enough to secure the kill. And M80 on track to tie us up once more.
Even throughout that exchange, M80 were comfortable and confident that it was going to end up towards that A side with all 3 players positioned and playing around that breach utility.
1 enemy remaining.
To get the timing just right for NiSMO. That's a wave of 3K on the pistol round and potentially looking to make things even. It's not going to be the same scenario as M80 in the first half. Moist is actually going to be forcing here.
Now you expect it from Aproto. Maybe you expect it from Sim as well. They've got themselves sheriffs. Other than that,
Nice try.
full save from everybody else. Good reveal. And, well, even better kills behind it. Okay. Aproto making this one hurt at the very least. It's all up to Sim and to Sheriff himself. johnqt just around the corner. Sits him down. Nice and easy. So tied up is where we find ourselves. 14 rounds into it. 7-7. This bonus round for M80 Dryad. 2 Guardians and a Vandal, which I don't see why you wouldn't reinvest, especially because John just hung on to the Ghost in that last round. This could be an op round.
I think it's going to fall down into the hands of koalanoob. We've seen a lot of really good plays, especially that pistol round. Sheriff 2K to start us off with a little bit of damage. As long as koalanoob is able to keep this performance for this specific round, round number 15, then there is a chance M80 can get away with the same thing Moise did in that first half.
And these respective sides are the strong side for both of these teams. Sim goes aggressive inside the smoke, and M80 ready for this one. They know that somebody could quite possibly be inside this as Zander takes a couple of shots. Sim gonna take a step out, spot nobody, and look back away and play with the team.
Placing alarm bomb. Placing swarm grenade.
This is good though. Everybody's playing together. Everybody's a 5v5 retake now for the setup of M80. As they almost had a timing, Sam is gonna be waiting up close.
Sim needs to be ready for everything here, and it does look like he is, but M80 haven't quite pulled the trigger just yet. Now inside the smoke, just like koalanoob did previously. They weren't ready for it. Sim and Thief to find the first couple of kills, make it 2 for Thief as eeiu looks to trade him back, but now it's all up to NiSMO. He's got 3 players on the other side of him. He dodges out on the stun, taps to the first head, needs to find 2 more. Unfortunately, will not have the space nor the time, so he's forced away, and Moist Moguls have taken the round.
Yeah, there's no chance, nothing else. As Moist once again takes the lead, a lead that they would like to keep until the very end of this map. Start to get the momentum for what would be maybe now the 4th upset that this team has had. It's all step by step. There's a long way to go for Moist, and that is a good round to start them off. On this attacking side, like you said, the stronger side more than anything. But with koalanoob having an operator towards team, that might be a different story.
Yeah, you said a long road ahead of them. How about a long barrel staring them down, and he's gonna push in front of the smoke? No way! Sim was ready for it!
Wow.
Okay. All right. Diffuses. They've detonated on both sides. As johnqt and eeiu find their way back into this round, way of Hunter's Fury, and because of that, Proto's able to put down that lockdown, make this one harder to retake. NiSMO gonna go aggressive, try and deal with a few players here. Chalk darts queued up. Time off the clock as that spike continues to tick. Paranoia goes out. Smokes galore as they spray down the diffuser. It's Zander first to fall. Brawk looks for something extra, but instead it's eeiu to get it. As he gets spammed down, that smoke was not strong enough to keep him alive. And Moist Moguls, they grow their lead to 2.
I mean, and look, I get it for koalanoob to go a little more aggressive. Sometimes, especially as a duelist, especially when you're that jet player of koalanoob, you want to take those risks, but it's just not worth it. No support, nothing else at least to go with it, to go with the operator. And it ends up going in their wrong hands. For Moist, they're going to continue the streak now. 2 rounds that we've seen that found success towards C, and that means time to change things up. 3 of the players of this defensive side of M80 towards B. Try to spot anything expected, maybe a little bit of aggression, but nothing early on.
That was a huge round, a reset round for M80. Still very dangerous with the weapons that they do have, but Moist Moguls definitely leaning a bit better as the favorites here in this round at the very least. Zander's got a tall task ahead of him. He's only got a frenzy, and he's about to be met by a couple of Moguls here.
Cover going out.
This is a little bit of everything that he has to deal with. Immediately clear, yeah, there's no chance. There's a soba all the way backside, but could not swing at the same time, could not get anything done. Again, it's an eco round here for M80.
As retake, difficult to say the least. If they find a couple of kills, which it really isn't out of the question, they do have a Rolling Thunder to try and, I guess, punish or put some type of pressure on the players out towards long. But for now, it's just spam. Exits are the dream here, it seems, for M80. Recon Bolt feels there's the swings and finds 1. But, I mean, this damage doesn't matter for M80. They're supposed to die in this round. For Moist Moguls, they want to try and keep these weapons in hand. Stop the bleeding on the economy. eeiu. He doesn't know what to do here. Do you try and hang on to the Guardian? Nope. It does look like he will concede that weapon and the round. Moist Moguls grow their lead to 3. Double digits here against M80 in map 1.
If you're a fan of Moist, this is a pretty good indication of the real improvement that we've been talking about, and it's great to see in all those rounds. Now it just becomes even more difficult. Yeah, sure, it's gonna be finally the buy round for M80, but there's a Rolling Thunder, and yeah, that means that the players are gonna be looking to get a little bit closer towards that A side, something that this attacking side has not contested yet, and it can be sure matched by NiSMO, but that space for Moist is everything.
Wow.
Oh, and eeiu tries to get away with it. No chance.
Very greedy there to try and stick that orb. Just gets sprayed down. That definitely does not feel good to lose your information early in the round. The retake is gonna be that much more blind, and that's exactly the call. NiSMO forced off the site, waiting for the rest of the team to get here.
And now you have all those tools for postpone scenario. Even with the lockdown available for M80, there is a Hunter's Fury on the other side, so... Wow.
Giving it up.
Yeah, in a 4v5.
They're giving it up, right? So, difficult to retake. No recon bolt, no drone. eeiu's utility, very strong in any retake, on any site, doesn't matter. But then, when you look at what they have, everything can be countered. So, from this round to the next, it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Moist, they didn't even have to use a lot. Pretty much anything. The strong ultimates that we're gonna see in the next couple rounds. That Rolling Thunder is still gonna be available. The Hunter's Fury to counter the lockdown from John. The showstopper potentially for that aggressive entry. Everything is still gonna be there for Moist. Yeah, finally we get to see that timeout for M80.
Yeah, this is... I guess, you know, maybe not getting first blooded in the next round. You find first blood yourself. You deal with brawk. There's no Hunter's Fury for the lockdown. It just feels like M80 coming out of the timeout are still looking at a lot of what ifs. And probably a lot of weight on the shoulders of koalanoob to find an early pick in the round, to be in the right spot, which he does have a tendency to do so. Pretty darn good at finding early kills. This is 2 rounds away from Moist Moguls. They're reared up to take map number 1, which in a map pool that I think looks pretty darn good for them. Haven Pearl Ascent.
Yeah.
Maybe outside of map 3, which, I mean, we just saw the guard dismantle the attack of M80 on Ascent the other day. So yeah, there's some footage there. So should we get to map 3, who knows? But Haven Pearl, it's not an easy run for M80. This was not going to be an easy series for them.
And if you are Moist, you might want to underestimate them before this match. I mean, you look at the stats for M80 on Haven. Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, they won this map 4 times, right? Sure, two of those times were against these guys. But, I mean, the come up for Moist is absolutely insane. And the potential that they have now, taking the lead on Haven, is everything that they need.
They've got the read. Look at this, NiSMO.
Sweet Rolling Thunder.
Ready for the Rolling Thunder. Chooses not to send it, though. Owl drone dealt with. Operator here on the angle. Sim, the first one to fall. Paint shells go out. And another just around the corner. NiSMO gonna hang on to the util. Instead, will use the rifle. As Koala finally falls, only 2 remain. And Aftershock will force their hand. It looks like they choose to walk away. Thief does so with 5 HP.
Try running away from him, but no chance. 5 HP for Thief and Aproto. The only other member of Moist staying alive. Trying to get something going on. We didn't see that Rolling Thunder. That would have been the difference for koalanoob to get off that angle, to get stunned, and maybe things would have been different. But M80, like you said, just such a good read at the beginning of the round.
If they didn't hear anybody out towards long, which they should have heard Aproto maybe leaping away, they definitely spotted that spike is no longer there. Split across the map, so a 2v2 here out towards the A site, a 2v2 out towards C should they need it. Here comes that Rolling Thunder, though. They want this round. They want it bad. Recon Bolt dealt with, so is Aproto, and M80 have done it. They hung on to the ult early. They send it late, and they take the round.
But did they need to use that Rolling Thunder?
I don't know, man. I get it. Win the round. Okay, I get it. That right there is Happy belated St. Patty's Day, by the way, Aproto. That right there is the utmost respect that you could give to anybody. You and I have just witnessed the other day Aproto going bananas in 1vx situations. So I respect it, to be honest.
I
is
mean,
a big
all
piece of utility,
the
though.
Yeah. All the resources are still gonna be available for Moist. Okay, now you've been holding them for 3 rounds. And okay, that is just unfortunate. Thief, 1 HP. Sim also gets taken down. Oh, the spray through the smoke.
Off your feet!
Wow. I mean, Moist kind of letting it slip. Oh, okay, never mind. Aproto, quick with it, clears the corner, a 1-tap and backs away from it all. Unfortunately, the stun has subsided. You've got to try and take these fights, and they have all the tools to do so. Instead, NiSMO dumped inside the smoke. Zander, not long for this world, but NiSMO still gets one as the smoke will dissipate. And this time, it's Brawk and Thief. And Thief, not 5 HP. How about 1 HP in the 1v2? A beautiful flash koala with the knives, and we find ourselves 1v1 around the box C long. And this is where Brawk will thrive, and that's exactly why.
3 for 3 clutches for Brawk. No way he does it again. Knew his teammate was essentially dead 1 HP and still managed to turn it around for the side of Moist. What a round. Just so chaotic, back and forth. One of them gets taken down through the smoke. They still commit to the Rolling Thunder they've been holding on. And they turn things around once again. Make sure M80's momentum is stopped as soon as possible.
Placing alarm bot.
And I love the confidence in that. You lost Sim, which means you also lost the showstopper and the tip of your spear. Thief was also 1 HP, but they still had the confidence to take the map the way that they would previously. Nothing changed for them, and this one starts off the same exact way. Sim with an early kill. Hunter Shuri's traded, and Brawk will do it again. Thief will teleport backside, look to secure this one for the team. Unfortunately, can't find the kill. johnqt takes down 2 before he makes his exit.
Bot coming back.
And again, we find ourselves even, but the best 2 players alive in a situation like this. It's dynamic duo of Koala and NiSMO. Moist Moguls know it. They're not committing to this plant just yet. Finally, they'll get that spike down.
Spectre, though, for koalanoob.
1 enemy remaining.
I'll be getting out close, and NiSMO's gonna take care of it just fine. Vandal finally making the difference, and M80, they get to see another day of Haven.
Day, is it?
Wow. Yeah, Koala not even needed. Like you said, Spectre in hand. Backs away, grabs that operator as that round ends. That stings a little bit. Thief not finding that kill. johnqt allowed to get 2 in that position. That right there, it is the round. A player down would have been M80. It would have looked a little bit more doable for the Moguls. Unfortunately, not the case. But they go back to this one, and guess what? Sims died pretty early in these rounds, so he's still got the showstopper.
Yeah, the last 2 rounds. The first one down. And now with the lockdown available for Aproto, we saw how successful it was for that post plant, but it requires the plant and that first kill to come in. First, the showstopper, no value towards backside.
This is going to buy out that lockdown, though. Hunter Shuri using the last round means no real way to deal with this one unless Sim is going to look to get aggressive. Aftershock goes through. Only a couple bullets need to land, but they don't do so in time. Instead, he'll find the kill, but the attacker all forced away. But they got the spike planted. Aproto's got a lockdown of his own. Aftershock going to come through. He can't stay to defend it, but he'll back away, and Thief will make sure he does so safely. The cavalry has arrived, however, and they want to push up on this one. Nobody to defend as NiSMO goes aggressive. Now they only have to worry about the spike, but they have to have the spam around them. And Koala left reeling in it all with an operator. Will hop onto the spike once more with 61 HP. He's blinded up. He's just about taken down, and it's Brawk to do it. Moist Moguls will take map 1.
And it's that surprise if you're a fan of M80 and you've seen those results, but also not a surprise at all if you've seen the performance that the side of Moist have been having recently. It's so good, and I think this is only the first indication of what they can do throughout this best of 5 series. There's so much potential, and the coordination for every single one of those plays, especially when we got to see that attacking side was clean. Yeah, most of the times they were running it towards that C side, but it was working out. The entry for Sim was everything that they needed for the execution and to also position Aproto for success.
Yeah, and looking at this map, a relatively close map at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Obviously, not many losses for M80. I think they had 3 map losses on the season, kind of as a whole. So this is not familiar territory for them. Meanwhile, for Moist Moguls, Ryan, we've been blessed. Yesterday, we got the upset. Oxygen did it. We get an upset early here in map 1, and I think it looks good. I want to give love to Moist being able to have the better of, I guess, both halves, right? They're the worst half for both of these teams. The defense, the numbers aren't great for Moist. On the other side, they're lower for M80. And then you go on to the strong sides, and Moist Moguls managed to get it done on their strong side versus M80 strong sides. I don't know. I think we're in for a 3-mapper, although I do think this map pool does make things... you got to get the wet floor signs out for this map pool, I think, is basically what I'm saying. But we've got a lot to look at in that map 1. We've got the desk on the other side. We're going to hop away for a short break, but here are the highlights.
Enemy kill. No charges. Bye. Yikes.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Planted. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Attackers win.
That's definitely a way to be starting off our day, with Moist Moguls taking the first map, M80's map pick off them. And I think Dryad said it perfectly. If you're a Moist Moguls fan, I feel like that's a really exciting game to be excited about, Bach.
I honestly did not see this coming. And I think it's pretty noticeable when you watch the desk segment before that first map. I will own my wrong. I thought that Moist was going to lose the first map. 1, it's a really good map for M80. 2, M80 on paper is just the stronger team on an individual level, on a team level. And 3, we saw so many mistakes the other day from Moist that I thought M80 was going to capitalize on. However, in just a short period of time, Moist has turned things around. That scenario we were talking about coming into the first map, the mid-rounding, the early round losses, they fixed all those problems. In fact, in a lot of the rounds they won, it was them taking control of the early round. And in the rounds they lost, it was the opposite. You saw it in the first couple of rounds that played out in that first half. We saw Sim getting aggressive and dropping the spike right outside of mid. We saw them pushing down long. We saw them actually getting very aggressive outside garage. And while it didn't always work, it did kind of catch M80 off guard. It was when they let Koala play aggressive that they were able to take ground, and M80 was able to steal a few rounds away.
Yeah, and I feel like every time the camera went on brawk, which is somebody that I want to highlight a little bit, he was just crispy clean. I like to say every shot was just on it, and it was really fun to watch because even when they swapped over to the attacking side, their positioning on post plant, they were constantly in their face, making M80 feel uncomfortable. And towards the beginning of the match too, we just saw a whole different Moist Moguls, I feel like, than what we saw on Wednesday.
Aproto coming alive, looking like the Aproto we used to see. Sheriff was actually incredible as always, but so was the rest of his skill set. But again, you talk about brawk, he doesn't really finish at the top of the charts. It doesn't matter. brawk was in that clutch position. Remember that Achilles heel that's also a blessing and a curse for this team, is that they always end up in the clutches. Well, this time, because they were giving themselves a few more rounds by not putting themselves in those spots, those clutches aren't as damaging. We saw brawk get out of at least 3, if I'm not mistaken, 1vx scenarios or 2vx scenarios. Incredible play from him, often in the post plant. A really strong play overall from Moist. And if I'm honest, I feel like M80 just came out flat-footed. They gave Moist too much to get the game going. And then when they started finding rounds, it was like, okay, great, they get a string of rounds. But Moist was able to regain their composure coming into the tail end of that first half. Second half, it's more of a back-and-forth volley, but it does end up favoring Moist pretty heavily, especially in the post-plant scenarios.
Yeah, and if we're looking at that we just saw on the screen of Zander, that was somebody that we were highlighting pregame of somebody that was, you know, popping off last time we saw, going plus 23 on a controller, which was massive. But here's, unfortunately, Zander just didn't have the best game, so it's okay because we still have more maps to go and can bring it back.
We do, but now it's going to be M80 down one in the series, looking at Moguls map pick ahead of them. As next up, we're going to be going on to Pearl. And you pointed it out earlier with how this map has fared for M80 in the past. It's kind of looked a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Sorry, Bag. I just one thing that I noticed was the different comps that were being chosen from M80. They played with 3 different comps on Pearl, so obvious, and they also have a 50% win rate on that. So 1-2 lost 2. So they're definitely playing around with what works and doesn't work. So I'm excited to see which one they thought is best for them going into this match today.
One of the important things for M80, other than the fact that they need to try to figure out why things aren't working for them on Pearl, is the fact that they get to start on the defense. If you actually look at M80's round win rate, their defensive round win percentage is really high. It's above 70% across all of their map pool, which is really small, to be fair. It's only a few maps because we haven't seen them really explore the outer reaches of the map pool currently. But for Pearl, it's 71% on the defensive side. So getting to start on the defensive side, they'll at least get to feel a little bit more comfortable. I would expect to see what we saw in the second half of that last game, where Koala was kind of getting a little bit more aggressive. He does it pretty frequently down the extremities of the map. The question is whether or not we can see Moist continue to punish, because that's what happened last time. We saw it early on in the second half. Koala buys an op early. He goes for an aggressive C long play, and he gets shut down by Sim. Sim was really the equalizer in that series, taking Koala out of situations. That's what we talked about as a win con. They needed to take Koala out of the game, and I feel like they did a pretty good job of doing that. If they do that here on Pearl, it could be lights out for M80. I'm actually surprised that I'm saying that, because I really thought the amount of rounds that Moist even just got in the first map is greater than what I expected them to get across the series, just based on what we've seen from these two teams in the past.
Absolutely, and we could all tell that Moist Moguls did their homework. They know M80's playstyle and are catching them off guard, like you mentioned. They're catching a player on M80 that's being a little bit more aggressive. Usually it's Koala, and they're getting those picks. And M80 is going to have to be a little bit careful, because obviously Moist Moguls is on top of what they're doing.
And Moist Moguls, I mean, they just looked really cohesive. Like, even in the first couple of rounds over on Haven, how they are approaching the rounds, everyone seemed to be on the same page. Like, I'm excited to see this team go on board if that's the version of them that we're going to be getting.
And that's the thing. We wanted to see them fix some of those early round problems. It felt very much before like a sum of its parts type of team. Like, they just took all the players and put them together, and they kind of just do their own thing at times. It didn't really always feel like it meshed together well. But clearly, in the 2 days that they've had since they won, not even, it's like been like 36 hours, they've taken what they did wrong and they've fixed it at least enough to kind of get under the armor of M80. They take a map away that statistically is very strong for M80, and now they move into a map that is statistically pretty weak. If they can just apply this same strategy and work together just as well on Pearl as they just did on Haven, again, it is potentially problematic. Now, it's not to say it's easy. M80 is still a very strong team. Getting to start on the defensive side could give them the boost they need to carry over into the third map. Should it get to that third map, that's when I start to worry for Moist again, because Ascent is a map that can work quite well for M80. It's not to say it can't work well for Moist, but it's just, you know, that once that ball gets rolling, it's really hard to stop it, and we've seen that at times from M80. It's sort of like a cooling or a warming up period. If they can get hot, it's really hard to cool them down.
I'll have to see if Moist Moguls have done enough to kind of pull them down, ice them out just a little bit. But real quick, into this next map, for M80 to be taking this win and take us to a map 3, what is the biggest change around that you need to see?
M80, like I said, they're gonna have to think a little bit outside of the box, because everybody knows how they play. They have people who pop off by being aggressive, they'll back off, reposition in another area, catch another opponent off guard. They're gonna have to think a little bit outside of the box, I think, and adapt. And we were saying that M80 was most likely going to win Haven because it's their best map. Now we're going to Pearl. We were saying Pearl is going to be Moist Mogul's best opportunity to take it to 3 maps. So who knows what's going to happen here, but I do know we're going to see some insane gameplay.
I'm hoping for the outside of the box, because with the limited maps that we've gotten to see from M80, there's definitely a lot of tape for the other teams to be studying up on them. So I'm excited for the Pearl. They've swapped it around a lot. Let's see what they're going to be bringing out today as it's time for map 2 and to send it over to our casters.
Bro, not Tanner Mucho again. Dryad. Dryad, I thought we wrote it in the contract that you have to remind me, Dryad. I thought we scribbled
Oh yeah,
it in.
it's my fault.
Dang it! And you know what sucks the most about that is you're just sitting there actually listening to me, and unfortunately you can't hear anything. Either way, M80 are down a map. Moist Moguls actually look like the bomb squad. They came out very explosive. And what was really cool, I think, about map number 1, Dryad, before we jump into map 2, we'll see if it kind of stays the same. There was levels to it. It was Sim's time to shine early in the game. Then Aproto started stepping up. Then brawk started finding these clutches, and everybody really started to come to life. It seems like it felt like watching the game, we could feel the energy just continuously rising for Moist Moguls. But M80 showed a lot of signs of life. They went down 4-0 and they didn't give up.
And we've talked a lot about Moist and what has changed in the past couple of weeks, but there is that one factor of everybody being on it and playing their A game to the best of their ability. That's what has been going on recently, and we've really got to see it for the map number 1. If that continues to happen for the second map, there is that chance that Moist can take it 2-0 against M80, right? The favorites, which if you think about this possibility at the beginning of that first split, it would have been just absolute insanity.
Now we get to see how it all lays out. Another Killjoy Aproto map. We'll see if anything changes here. And eeiu actually gonna be rocking the Sova on this one. Sova a pick, I feel at first glance on Pearl, didn't really feel like it worked. So johnqt also making some changes here. So double controller, Astra Viper really looking to have a lot of control on the map.
Wow, this is super interesting as well for M80 and the way that this double controller is going to work out great for them, I think. And the one thing that we saw them struggling with in a couple of scenarios, not only in that last map, but overall, sometimes the post plans get difficult. But now you're going to have an Astra, you're going to have a Viper, and that utility by itself on top of that Sova it should be enough though. But is that combination of that similar double controller with that potential aggression, not only from Sim, but Aproto, which, I mean, we've talked about him a bunch of times.
Yeah, I don't think we could say enough about it. I feel like we say a lot of things about Aproto for Moist Moguls, just as we say a lot of things about Koala for M80. Just a couple
100%.
of players that really do live up to the standards that have been set by them and
their roles.
And their roles, 100%. And speaking of roles, koalanoob gonna have to wait a second before getting too aggressive. As I say that, look at this. Everybody's out towards mid, just about 5 players for M80. Make it 3 for Moist Moguls. Okay, now just down to the last 2 as Thief and brawk will try and fight their way out of it, and they're doing so successfully. eeiu only alive for moments longer.
What just happened?
And Moist Moguls do it again in the pistol.
What just happened? Everybody down, everybody taken down and met by the aggression towards mid as Moist again get that first pistol round. Good way to start them off. They need this kind of momentum going from that last map and to snowball into so much more if they're going to close it out in 2. But this time around it changes. M80 not going for the 4th round, not going for those stingers. And I'm so curious to see how it is going to execute it and play out for M80. With the composition that we talked about, right? It's different from what we've seen before. It doesn't have the killjoy that we are most often seeing on a map like this one. And so they really have to show what they got.
This is kind of a throwback, getting some info that johnqt has only played Viper once on Pearl. That was back earlier in the split against DSG. So they go back to it, maybe in hopes of slowing down Sim, who recently dropped just about 40 on this map. He had a very short fuse. He's looking, well, hoping to live up to that one. Koala gonna try and put out the wick there. Good shots. Good fragment, too. It's going to keep a couple players at bay. Those ARP players can't really help. We're stalled at a fuse. eeiu looking to go aggressive. We've seen that position with the classic. Unfortunately, does not work out the same. And they only lose a few. It's Sim and brawk to fall, but it's Moist Moguls to punish another small force.
It's pretty much koalanoob the only one there, and especially with a chance to get those kills. He definitely did early on, but it's gotta be those hero plays to really make a difference, especially against this specific Moist Moguls that is a whole new version. It feels like a whole new team, and we know the potential of every single one of these players individually. But when they're coming together and when they're coming to the mid-season face-off against M80, they want to show every single one of those practices and how much they've been paying off.
And if you're the underdogs here in this one, you got to beat the favorites sometime, whether it be now or in the finals. See if they do close it out in two. Sim, my goodness, just trying to neutralize Koala the best he can. Fragment comes out. NiSMO just going to get run down, and this was not the best of buys for a bonus. You have a couple of stingers coming into this one. Now the rifles have been picked up. The guns have been upgraded. Zander and John, in their first full buy, stand so far away from this, and they want to hang on to the rifles.
And the investment as well was good for Moist for this round as well after the damage that took place early on. But M80 backing up going were the same thing that we saw on map number 1. And these rounds, these early rounds, are what at this point M80 cannot allow to happen. M80, they're used to taking those rounds into a 1v1, into a 1v2. They're used to making it close. When the advantage goes too far to the enemy team, it's hard to recover. And yeah, hunting for them, looking for them. Zander's actually gonna answer. It's the last two, so only 2 of those rifles for Moist get saved. So they get 3 rounds.
Yeah, Moist Moguls, however, could afford to lose those guns. That was just their bonus. Those weren't even their guns. They picked up the players' guns that they killed on the A site and went hunting with them. I think the one ray of hope is that we've seen this round before from M80. It wasn't round 4 on Haven. It was a round a little bit later where they had 1 hero rifle, they gave it to koalanoob, and they ended up winning a round. So there is a small light at the end of the tunnel. There's a glimpse of light there, but that glimpse is then met by a guiding light as Koala plays inside the smoke. I mean, you have to spray it down. The smokes are like trees to this guy. Koalas want to be in trees as he tosses the weapon back. He had the blade, so he tried to give Zander the weapon, but he does so in the worst possible position, and any glimpse of hope has just been shut.
And honestly, for a run like this and a play like that one, right? Some of the execution and some of the plans here for M80, it seems like they lack that coordination. Who's gonna hold that angle while everybody else backs up? Who's gonna hold the angle when 2 of us are watching it at the same time? Like, plays like that one, they're benefiting Moist, and we got to see it last map. We get to see it again. Sure, the sheriffs are most likely not gonna do too much, but you still are trying to go for those duels in the best way possible.
1 enemy remaining.
Oof, I think... I mean, I guess the economy is still good. All right, well, that's what they wanted to do. They just wanted to finally get it done here. A sheet's flawless for Moist Moguls. I was thinking, you don't have to give up the weapons now. You can let these guys save their sheriffs or die to the spike, but they went hunting for a couple extra ult orbs. And as we mentioned, the knives are online for Koala. He gets them off of that orb, but then has just this false sense of security to toss the weapon back to Zander in just an awful position. Very awful timing for M80. Very great timing for Moist Moguls. And much like Haven, Moist put 4 in a row together to get started.
And that's the thing. You can never be safe. You can never have this sense of security when it comes to playing against Moist. They have this explosive style that has matched and has been a really good matchup against M80. But they're able to mix it up in a pretty unique way compared to other teams. So M80, yeah, down 4 rounds, but an operator in the hands of koalanoob towards that B side, having to back up though. And the Seekers are gonna come through.
And a good toxic screen here. Make sure that Koala can't really find anything on this angle. Instead, he's going to try and create his own angle. He'll go up top and take down Aproto. Out comes the rocket. And he walks away with 45 HP. Maybe able to sneak away, and he does so successfully. So much util tossed out that way, but a player down or moist here on the site. No, it's just about everybody down as Thief goes aggressive, and M80 have dealt with that.
A little bit more of the same. But the first kill for koalanoob was everything, and taking advantage, right? Finding those answers when it seems like nothing else can be done, especially when you have that double controller that can be so oppressive. As Moist have all the utility up and are trying to take control of that B side. koalanoob going for that updraft and getting one for the rest of the team to be ready for him. Good opportunities like that one that M80 needs to keep finding. Once again to match the score, but now not only to match, but to take us to the map number 3.
Zander really showing up with some of these multi-kills in these rounds. And as you said, tip of the spear again, Koala early in that one, that first kill really opening up there. Not only that first kill, but also getting away. I feel when that happens, Moist Moguls, they feel like they need to overextend to get something back, and they just got punished for it.
Yeah, I tried to make things even, and Moist have been pretty successful at doing so recently, but in a round like that one is a different story. So low, the utility as well, the fragment takes down Sim. NiSMO is going to take care of flyuh as well. And a good chance to hold out Link.
And NiSMO had the smallest of sightlines on anybody, but spots him out. Who says your eyes go with age as he picks up 2 for himself, and Moist Moguls in an awkward spot here. Plenty of credits, so they're still going to try their hand at this 3v5. Smoke's still alive and still available. Brawk can take the first fight, but he wasn't ready for the person right next to him. That person being eeiu, and he doesn't even get his one. Zander stays alive to take down his counterpart in Thief. Now Aproto has to 1v5 and can only win a first 1v1.
Wouldn't it be crazy if we see the exact same rounds being played out at the beginning, especially during this first half, as we saw during Haven, right? Because you take advantage of those 4 rounds if you're on the side of Moist. Then you struggle a little bit more just getting those kills and even getting taken down to get the ultimates. And after that, that's when they started taking that lead again. Aproto, speaking of ultimates, is going to have that lockdown. Look, an aggressive one from M80. Smart turret peek there. And I mean, look at all of the angles. The only dry angle, which was relatively dry, not that they use a Trailblazer, was this angle through Art. It's a smoke out towards A, so that way Koala can't push up aggressively. It's the turret peek and the recall smoke out towards B. And the rest of the team works around the map. Obviously noting that Koala is not here because nobody's died to the op just yet. And you had to assume it was sort of that B side when you see that util being used and that potential of Koala pushing forward. Definitely something that we've seen before, right? So having to be so aware of it, Aproto backs up. And then Moist take a little bit more control early on. Sova as well for M80 going down.
Wow, now Koala's got to do it all himself. He's got the operator, no knives this time around. Sim gonna go up, that flick does not land. Instead, he'll turn around, flick to Koala, and find a kill himself. Blast through into heaven. NiSMO not ready for the angle right in front of him. And Sim allowed 2 kills on the round to Zander. johnqt once more. The 2 that remain. This time the economy a bit better, but the call seemingly the same. They want to back away and save.
Making sure, you know. M80, they I like how, you know, I was gonna say they give respect to Moist when they go for these safe rounds, right? They're not, even when they have that aggressive playstyle that we've seen throughout that first split, they know when they have to back up and kind of respect that space that Moist has been able to take so far. But that means Moist is gonna secure that 5th round for them. And in a way, they're winning these rounds the same way that we saw last map. not having to invest too many ultimates at once, as sometimes we see from other teams. Heavy ultimate rounds where we see 3, sometimes 4 ultimates in a single team just to secure something. But Moist, they haven't been forced into that position. So that means Viper Spit is going to be available too. And as long as they take that space early on, especially towards mid, they can take those rounds once again, round after round.
Too suppressed.
And this time, another good call. A very fluid koala with the operator isn't granted any angles, any early peeks, any early kills. This time it is aggressive out towards Art, because that is where Moist Moguls went last round.
Yep.
And he's given nothing.
Couldn't find anything. This is the patience as well. The kind of amount of playstyles that we've seen for Moist, right? Sometimes being so explosive towards mid, but sometimes knowing and giving that space to the operator to make sure nothing can be given if they take this B site as well. Viper's Pit is going to be available. And NiSMO goes down too.
Yeah, very important too to be able to shoot that knife so that way they can make this hit go off without a hitch. Well, there's actually a hitch thrown in at eeiu. Nice shots there with that Hunter's Fury. Will take down flyuh, but Sim, low HP, still finding kills. And opening up opportunities here for the Moguls as eeiu tries to take the high ground. It's Thief to finally sit him down. Meanwhile, while all of this is happening, slowly but surely, brawk is looking to get himself connected back into the fight, and he's full HP, he's full utility. Should be the linchpin in this round. A player ahead as Koala takes down Thief. Now things get even, and that's actually going to buy out the lockdown. They have to go aggressive to try and deal with this one.
And that's so hard to do right now.
Remaining.
So it's going to fall right in the hands of brawk as Zander goes down. The 1v2 for koalanoob, and we've seen what this player is capable of doing with 2 different angles to take care of, and it's not going to be possible this time around. Brawk, once again, the last kill of the round, secures 6 for Moist.
The hero play just escapes Koala, and a bit earlier here on Pearl, we get this timeout, I would assume, in way of M80. Yeah, brawk just doing a really good job. Those micro adjustments to be able to find those kills. It is M80 trying to slow things down, figure out how they can get a read on this Moist Moguls attack. That's much like Koala's been fluid with the operator. This attack has been very fluid. We've seen a lot of different looks, from mid control in the pistol round to A crunches through Art to now a B crunch with a very late lurk. This has been I guess, yeah, fluid is just the best way to describe it for Moist Moguls.
Yeah, it's just insane flexibility for this team. Just willing and being able, actually, to execute so many different styles, so many different plays, in a way that we've seen other teams try, right? They go for this attempt, they go maybe for a slower play, maybe not trying to take control of Art early on. But it doesn't work for everybody, and that's what makes this Moist team different. That's what makes them so good right now and taking the lead on this matchup.
Please, Riot, give me an actual monument with those statues. Please. Looking at that every time, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, living in this world with these agents.
This is actually my house.
Yeah.
Needed to know?
Well, yeah. If anybody needs a Riot gun buddy or maybe a battle pass, hit up Riot, because she's got it like that. As Koala forced the back away, Trailblazer spots out the op. We'll see if Moist Moguls want to go for this still. They know where the op is. Do they challenge it?
And they haven't been tested by this before. They haven't been able to spot the operator very, very early on. It's already when they're pretty much taking control of that site. But yeah, they're going for it.
That they are. The rocket will find the first. The op shot does not land as NiSMO stands and fights on the site. Going aggressive is Sim, and he finds the head, but it's through a wall. Finally, NiSMO dealt with, but not before finding 2 as Sim will back away, caught on his heels. eeiu takes him down. Now it's a drone for information. A 2v3. brawk is tagged, and who goes through the wall first? It's the op. The tip of the spear is there. Where is Thief playing? Do they know? Yes, they do. They've got the read. They've got the round. M80 cut their deficit in half.
Good round here for M80. Gets 3 rounds so far, and finally the operator is able to find some success. At least early on, even after he got spotted, right, we had that question, is it still going to be contested? But something that we haven't even seen too much is Moist making those rotations. They haven't really needed to. You're still coming to the sides. They're playing very patient. Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know what I can do about it, production. I can't
Dryad's
help
picking
you.
favorites. Dryad's picking favorites for some reason. I don't know why. Dryad refuses to hook up the production.
Yeah. All right. koalanoob, good early pick. And one thing also showing what this M80 side is able to do, but Thief answering right back. 2 kills with the Phantom. Numbers again for Moist, right when it seemed like Koala was going to take care of it.
And he does it again. I mean, Peek finds a frag. Peek finds a frag. Peek finds a frag. Now Brawk, oof, narrowly escaping death. I thought Koala was going to look to run him down. Instead, Brawk will go clear mid, backs away from it. johnqt stuck on the angle. Thief comes back to it with 60 HP, and that is not enough to win the fight. It's a snake bite to try and stay alive. Koala looks to clear the spawn, and he had the right call. Unfortunately, was a little too quick on the angle. Wasn't expecting Aproto to be there just yet, and now they know the whereabouts of this Viper, who does have the pit available, but is in an awkward spot to use it.
He's going to be very uncomfortable here for John. It's a 1v2, and we've seen a bunch of these plays, but mostly today, at least for the side of Moist.
Dog will be first to peek. Aproto will be second. No more nano swarms to pop here. Brawk gonna have to take the fight right after the flash, and johnqt's just gonna stick it. He's calling his bluff, and he does not hop off. Some way, somehow, johnqt allowed the clutch.
And I just said it, right? I mean, M80 haven't done it too much, but that's a good way to start us off when it comes to these clutches. Just sticking it at the end. 1 second would have made a difference for Brawk, but it doesn't matter. M80 are gonna get away with it. Played so well. I mean, it was difficult, right? 2 different angles to take care of. And also knowing that the Sky was gonna be playing so far back.
Enemy remaining.
Good read to get this one happen.
Yeah, that hurts for Brawk. Usually been good in the and you know what? Another situation where I don't blame johnqt, right? Call his bluff there. Taking the fight against Brawk, it seems like you're just going to be on the losing end no matter what. Oh my goodness, the duel in art. It's been back and forth. Last time it was Koala, this time it's Sim.
And last time for Koala, he was able to get more of an aggressive position, but Sim this time around waiting for it and capitalizes perfectly. Zander needs to get this one though.
Oh, Zander's about to get it all pit for pit. Unfortunately, flyuh is gone, so the only one that stands will be johnqt's. And that makes, well, this A side anything less than cute. A pretty undesirable position to play. What are you doing, NiSMO? Sim has absolutely no idea. NiSMO has absolutely no idea. So we go 1 for 1. But Moist Moguls come out of this trade a player ahead, but a pit still to worry about.
The numbers, we've seen them throughout this map, throughout this half, initially go the way of Moist, but M80 putting up fight. And this is the way that M80 usually likes to play. It gets a little messy between rounds, but as long as they're securing them,
Bot coming back.
that's all that really matters. Moist, very, very quiet. Gonna end up on this A site.
Yeah, and this stings a whole lot. I guess there's a world where they can go back for that operator, but they gambled that the rotation was out towards B for M80. Now they have to retake this A site, and the credits are not great. So the call might be to save, and eeiu opted into the Vandal instead of the operator.
Wow. I mean, it is a 2v3. As M80, they found themselves in the complete opposite part of the map to deal with this one. And you need to think about it, right? It makes sense that they're going for the save. You're gonna be dealing with Aproto, Sim, and Thief, all with insane utility, even if it got invested early on. There's some that they couldn't even see, so playing it a little bit safer once again is M80. Oh, Moist, again, on the first half, taking the lead. Oh, he's fine.
He's fine. He's fine.
Last round
He's like, hey
in
guys,
the
this is
half.
what... Guys, this is my shop. What are you... Why do you keep planting a bomb here? This is my shop. just trying to make it.
I hope he makes it.
Yeah, here's for the inflation, bud. Like that spike. I do want to mention the numbers again, where when you just look at the percentages on which side is stronger for both of these teams, these are the strong sides. And Moist are doing it again. They're winning the strong side. Now, the attacking side looks a little weaker for M80 because they haven't played that many maps, and they were pretty stunted. They kind of hit a brick wall when they ran into guard, only finding 3 rounds on the attacking side of this map. So it's not to say that this number really does hold up.
Yeah.
But Moist in a really good spot here closing out the half. Guaranteed more rounds.
I've got your
Yeah, guarantee more rounds. With an execution that wants to end up towards that A side. And again, boys, they haven't been forced to make these rotations very, very early on. It seems like it's all very well calculated when they go back and forth between the sides and between the arc control and that B control that they've been fighting for. This time around, it might be a little different. The flashes as well. The early presence that we saw with that sky from brawk. Gonna create and keep the side of M80 aware of how this play was gonna end up. But yeah, the side of Moist stay back up for a second. They go back for the arc control. Didn't Zander get it this time? He got one last round, but yeah, this one's not gonna be it.
30 seconds left.
Sim was ready for the rat strats. You saw he didn't want to swing that angle close. He swung it wide. That shotgun,
Very far, yeah.
Not quite getting the same value as it would on a closer angle. He's also going to be healed up. Got a potion from his friend brawk. Now flyuh is about to spread his wings and just go to town. And the back lines will find one, make it 2. johnqt doesn't even want to turn around. He doesn't even know what's just happened. He finds his 1 as flyuh tries to walk away. NiSMO there to greet him. Says, get out of my restaurant. This last round comes to a close. Moist in a decent spot. Aproto here, stuck on the site. NiSMO just not ready for the angle. The shots go wide, but Aproto reels it back in for both. 8-4 is where we find ourselves. Moist Moguls the lead.
Switching sides.
And playing around and trying to avoid the stronger parts of this M80 squad. On the defense especially, was doing Moist Moguls so well over and over again. The operator
Enemy remaining.
not really being contested towards B early on. And also, I mean, when you have an Astra and when you have a Viper on this attacking side, at least to take control, it became so much easier. But I think the difference was just how aware always Moist is on how the play is going to work out. And it always seems so controlled. Even for that last round, there was a little bit of fight towards A side, and they still go back for that art control. M80 always forced to back up. And now you're hoping things are different. If you're a fan of M80, if you've been following them from that split 1 to a couple days ago.
It started as, I think, the dark horse for all of challengers as Breakthrough now quickly becoming not only a fan favorite, but a matchup favorite. That shotgun style from M80 is a blast out. All 5 pellets towards this B side, and got that spike planted. They get to play the post with 5.
5v5 here, but yeah, the stars gonna get plays here as Moist. They need to go for this retake, and immediately see him going down.
NiSMO able to get a kill just before that wall goes up. Koala gonna spray on through a lot of utility tossed out at this one. Steve will finally get a kill in response, but it might not matter. Steve and Aproto have a whole lot to get done, and not a whole lot to do. That smoke will dissipate. Aproto finds himself in a bad spot. He wants to be anywhere but here. And Koala will send him to the heavens. M80, take the pistol.
And things going the same way as they did for the map number 1 when it comes down to those pistols. But with the possibility that, you know, Moist, they don't have to risk getting to that even score, that 8-8. It's a little harder for M80 to make happen. So they're gonna do everything that they can for it, right? Look at this investment for round number 2.
Oof. I love this. We saw a lot of this with, I believe it was Evil Geniuses in past. And when you have a pretty convincing round like that, it allows you to keep a couple of ghosts, bring some rifles into it. You do always have to be worried, especially in this round where Moist Moguls bring 3 sheriffs into it. You're no longer surviving a headshot from long range.
Yeah, and there's a thing here, right? So M80 with this composition, they do not have a sentinel. So they're gonna always have to play for contact for that flank potentially coming through. And that flank, it is actually coming from this side of Moist.
And this is not the weapon that you were expected to do things like this. johnqt just walks his way onto the site with a ghost. Deals with 2. Zander also. I mean, do they even have rifles? What's going on? Finally, NiSMO finds a kill, but it's the ghosts that make this one a Sheets flawless.
The ghost at the end is too good for the 2. And yeah, something they have to be aware of. I believe for some rounds we can expect... And we've seen actually John on this
One enemy remaining.
controller role, trying to be so aware of the flank, especially towards this B side. But for that one, Zander, good for it and to close things out. Now, this is where things get real interesting for Moist Moguls, going for that rifle buy.
One suppressed.
And keeping as well that presence throughout the map. 2 of the players here for M80 looking at this B side.
And I love that. I mean, it's only been 2 rounds, but we see it here in the first full buy round, right? Like the respect given over to M80 and nobody over peaking, right? They're trying to welcome this attacking team into the site and deal with them then versus giving a player like Koala who will 9 times out of 10 find that first pick. They're not giving him that chance.
Yeah, and with the utility here, they're gonna be playing so far back for the set of Moist onto this A site. They're gonna have that start early on to deal with it, to create that delay, and Aproto's on the other side towards Art. That's his one.
Completely left on an island because of that gravity well. Walla dashes on and Aproto, like you said, deals with him, gets his one. Sim still here, trying to fight forward, but NiSMO and johnqt equalize things here at a 3v3 on the side as eeiu gets back 2, and oh my god, who would have guessed it? It's M80's round.
And it started well. The read was working out for Moist after Aproto got a kill from Art, but nothing else that can be done. The timing, they're just not working too well for this defense. In the awkward situation where a couple of your players already got taken down and you're taking them, you're swinging for them one by one. So it really does feel like the first time where we see the eco round coming through for Moist. Not too much to work with, and these are the rounds where you usually expect the aggression coming through. It is actually from that A side, 2 of the players over there, and yeah, gonna get spotted. Zander waiting for it.
Oof, deep the deposit. Can't quite get 2. Now you got to get that weapon out of dodge. A little too close for comfort there, so Zander will walk this one away. Make sure it does not end up in the hands of Moist Moguls. And we go back to the round with just over a minute left on the clock and a 4v4, basically reset.
A reset, but in a difficult round though, and you need to be looking at flyuh. Even if he gets the timing though, it's a classic at hand to work with.
Spike planted.
Sim's gonna mid him though.
That's tough. You'd like to get something a little extra, but it does cause some paranoia. Now Sim gonna back him up. Paint shells out. That'll force johnqt off the angle. Good flash on the backside as well. And Aproto finds first kill. Unfortunately, it seems one and done is all they'll get here in this one here on the B site. As M80, they tied us up. Like I said, Dryad, the numbers, it looked pretty awful, but they were skewed because the last time we saw M80 on this map, and this time they're looking to surpass those numbers that we saw previously.
I mean, and if you're M80, right, this is kind of everything that you were hoping for in terms of results. It's already, you know, one of the teams that people have said, people have rated them really high, top 1, maybe top 2 of the entirety of challengers. But these the potential shaky performances are something that they cannot allow. So the best way is take full advantage of the second half of Pearl, as they've been doing so far. 3 rounds in a row, 8-8.
Oh man, Koala trying to do Koala things, unfortunately met by Aproto!
No
who
way.
snaps to NiSMO, and your dynamic duo is now gone. And finally, Moguls in round 17, it seems like they have some legs to stand on. They're not just Bambi walking their way through this defense.
And can they keep this? Can they keep these numbers, though? Because that's been the problem. They get that first kill, and in a lot of scenarios as well, thanks to Aproto. But what then? What comes after that? It is what they need to, once again, take that lead. Aproto's going to have that lockdown available as well, in case things go the other way around. It shouldn't be needed for now.
Spike planted.
Really good timing here from Sim. Finds a backstab. This is information that you lack without a Sentinel with johnqt on that
Completely
Viper.
surrounded.
Yep, and now Zander in an awkward spot. eeiu's here to try and bail him out. Usually what comes next is an eeiu double, a Zander double with johnqt finding one of his own, but not this time around. Instead, Thief says, I want to be the man who finds the double kills, and that's exactly what he does. Moguls, all right, they've been resuscitated here in their defense, and they find their first round.
Finally, looking a lot better here on the defensive side. After finding that early success that we talked about, they need to keep going. So it finally manages to work out. You had that forward position towards Art, and difficult scenario as well to deal with for M80. Curious to see how these ultimates are going to be playing out. Aproto, right, with that lockdown that we mentioned before, is going to be all by himself on this B side. There's nobody up close there. So the read initially seems to be good for Moist. Oh, they know about this aggression.
Yeah, they more than know about it. They deal with it, finding that kill. Koala, I mean, all the confidence in the world now. One player down, make it 2. flyuh joins Sim in the afterlife. Thief says, hey, I missed you guys. And also takes a trip
One enemy remaining.
to the Underdark. Unfortunately, Brock's trip was around the road to the B side. He's going to stay alive for this one, and his teammates fall around him. And M80, they weren't happy about giving up that lead, so they'll tie us up once more.
The aggressive play for Moist. Once again, the attempt towards mid. The push from Art. That was exactly what M80 was looking for, was waiting for. And this is how you shut it down, right? It seems like the impact changes so much. One is that late round, those, you know, the 1 minute remaining, there's 45 seconds remaining, and everybody's able to play that 5v5 retake with the Aproto alive. I mean, the impact that this guy has just to create delay on M80 could guarantee the last couple rounds that Moist is looking for.
flyuh having a quieter game here on Pearl. We mentioned him being Mr. Multi-Kill coming to this one, having 12 rounds in their series against TSM, where he picked up a couple, but Bach also mentioned that there are rounds where he either gets some or gets none. And in this one, seems more often than not, he's been able to get none. 18 and now 19 rounds in. Moguls will finally call their timeout. Get Tanny into the mix and see how they can deal with this one. Which, I mean, it does still feel aggressive, but I think it's kind of a breath of fresh air for M80 fans and probably Koala himself to know that it's not just koala aggression, right? This is, I mean, Zander has been the one who's done a lot in this game.
Yeah.
NiSMO also finding a couple of multi-kills. It's been, I don't want to say a quiet game for koala, but he hasn't had to shoulder the burden of having a 30-kill game or a 25-kill game or being the one who's always finding these entry kills. The team is really helping him out today.
And it seems like he hasn't really needed to do it, right? And that's kind of what makes it different. It's not like he's unable to do so, but he just hasn't had the need to get those multi-kills over and over again to guarantee these rounds and to even out the score for M80. So yeah, it's a breath of fresh air for this Jet player instead of M80. And for Moise, they took that time out. They get the chance to talk about it and see if they're able to contest and push his attacking side a little bit more. Now playing so far back, right? The kill utility not going to be there this time around. The early contact is already known thanks to that guiding light.
And they'll give up the site, that being Moist Moguls, but this retake has been anything but pretty. But they do have the tools to use it. Viper's Pit comes out. We'll see if Sim can get involved in the equation as he's got himself the showstopper. Makes it a little bit easier to deal with the Viper in the pit. But look how far that pit extends into Link, Dryad.
And that makes these ultimates so much more difficult to get value of. But there's no way. How does Steve get that Viper? And there it is. Ultimate down.
At random through the Viper's Pit, maybe caught as he was walking out. flyuh finds the next, and I said that these retakes haven't been great. But this one here it's ults and util galore. And there's just no real answer. A beautiful Hunter Shuri, though, and a vulnerable target in brawk. Next up is Sim to try and hop onto that one. They might have just bought enough time as Zander looks to walk his way through. Can't quite deal with the defuse, but a shock dart just might know flyuh. He might not have the kills, but he's got himself the defuse, and the round will go the way of Moist Moguls.
And that's all thanks to Thief on the Astra. Takes down the Viper. The Viper's Pit goes down, and those ultimates that were so hard to use before become available, become a little bit easier to execute. Aproto, and we've seen how this lockdown usually works towards Link. The Viper's Pit had to go down for it to be possible, for it to be done, and everything works out well. But it goes down to one of the things that we were talking about before. Moist, they haven't, and before that round, they never had to use those multi-ultimates in a single round. They never were pushed to that point until now. And again, the push from Art shut down. Operator that Sim wanted to play with and immediately denied.
Yeah, op for op. Sim feeling himself a little bit. Unfortunately, will lose out on that duel. So a player ahead of M80 is... They look to cut this deficit into a tie game. They want to find double digits themselves. And Moist Moguls, I mean, spread across the map like ants. One by one by one. They'll finally start to lean out towards this B site, though, and get things stacked up.
And it would have been scary if it was the other way around towards that A site. But for B, it looks a lot better for Moist, at least to make these numbers even after Sim got taken down early on. Viper's Pit.
They're not going to be used. It looked like that Nebula and brawk a little lost in the sauce there. Couldn't quite sneak away, so he's standing inside the snake bite a little too long. Reload, though, coming out, and now Thief is left all on his lonesome. Two players just on the other side of him, and the health bars there getting lower. But you could say the same for everybody here left in round 20. The drop down from Thief as the star goes through, the wall will fall, and too many targets on the other side. This round is M80's to claim.
Oh, and the wall was good, but not really knowing exactly where the two players were going to be. I saw that one actually going the other way around, but no, we're tied up 10-10. I told you this was my house. These are my friends. We were playing, what is that game?
Yeah, what are you playing?
No, I don't.
What are your friends? Why don't you go ahead and... I think Dryad might have had herself a couple of rounds before we got started. now we can jump back into the action. Op shot doesn't quite land. Koala and Sim trade the kills back and forth, though, and this one even as we continue the rest around minute 25 on the clock.
Gonna trade here again. Early on, Sim goes down, though, but Proto answers back. It's all back and forth. This A side has been so difficult for Moist, and now they have to deal with it again. The 3v3.
And flyuh gave up on the pit. That feels awful.
Yeah.
Toxins going up.
Only one of the players, though, sitting towards that A side and pushing forward. Steve realizes there's nobody else towards that A main, so the two players here could be and have to be right place, right time to get this one done, especially with that no command.
Zander will deal with flyuh. Steve and brawk forced to play retake, and I mean, it's really just brawk here on his front foot all by himself. He'll back away for just a moment. Steve not in the closest of spots on the map. With NiSMO, I mean, NiSMO dealing with that Trailblazers, everything. Zander goes undetected on this angle. That guiding light confirms the information, but we already know players are out towards long. Who is backside? NiSMO steps up. johnqt finally. Oh no, never mind. It's Zander backside. johnqt is still out towards long. That reload should be heard. Here on the swing attack from brawk, 23 HP. It's not a whole lot to try and clutch out this round, and he's running out of time, and M80 are playing that clock perfectly. Zander will finally find the final kill, and M80 will finally be in the lead here.
Finally, yeah. Been looking for it for so long. Have made the score even a couple of times, but finally, one round that makes a difference for M80. 11-10, and the potential finally to close it out, but it's been a difficult one, right? M80 at the end just playing that crossfire is what really made a difference. And even with that null command as well, able to rotate those ultimates a little bit more. Something that they were not able to do so before. They could not afford it. Eco round 4, Moist. Playing so far back on Link as well. Or Moist. They tried going aggressive. They tried giving an operator for sim. And even on these eco rounds where Moist loves playing aggressive, they know the risk.
Nice shot from Sim. That'll silence Koala. Yeah, he's taking off. He's not trying to bite off more than he can chew.
Pace off, but of course, no rifle, nothing else that this side of Moist could pick up from it. So they're still gonna have to play so far back. Oh, the swing is perfect too.
Ah, Thief. The shots just get away from him. You put Aproto in that position, and maybe he finds a couple himself. The Deadeye. As he walks up, nope. Just giving absolutely nothing. M80 gonna push us all the way to map point, unless brawk can do something about it. johnqt now getting aggressive. The spray, it's just gonna miss. We find ourselves 1v1, but Zander holds on for M80.
Oh, they got so scary.
Match point.
The Stinger, the classic everything. brawk trying to make it happen again, and he's been in those 1v1 situations way too many times throughout this matchup, but this time around, and once again on that eco round, would go the way of M80 as they get to 12, pushes potentially to that third map, and it comes down to this round. Aproto 1 away from the lockdown, Thief 1 away from the Cosmic Divide. And again, they have to play so far back, having to give that respect, and M80, they're also comfortable with this slow start for them. Spike on the floor. No worries as well. Nobody's going to take that early contact.
The first guiding light almost forced brawk to rotate. The second one does confirm, and brawk will find Koala just to open things up. That's everything for Moist Moguls, but they still have 4 players to worry about. A Cosmic Divide to push through. And the spike, it hasn't yet been committed, but neither is the defense. Look at this drive. They're still set up across the map.
brawk was flash for that kill, but I mean, you take down koalanoob, good chance. Spots another one of those players, and it's gonna be that swing. No way, Zander gets the best of it.
brawk just feeling himself there. Oh,
Spike down B.
Deep does it again. Deep sprays down johnqt. eeiu pushes aggressive, finds Aproto inside the smoke. We continue the back and forth, but Thief still has his ultimate available. Does he have an opportunity to use it? The knife goes out. He'll have to wait 8 seconds on the suppression, and he's not even alive for it. No time to wait, as Sim will have to do it all himself, but they swing him at the same time, and M80 say goodbye as they take map 2, and they push us the distance.
And we get to see that third map. We were having the theories of, was it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? But now confirmed thanks to M80. And they had to fight it. They had to make that comeback on the second half. But it just looked way too solid. I think everybody just having an outstanding performance. We talked so much about koalanoob and having those first kills, but it was really the mix of everybody from M80 just having the upper hand in these rounds.
Yeah, in the skirmish on the site, that's where M80 was really able to thrive. Even when koalanoob was dying early, you had mentioned it in a round where Sim got an early pick and Moguls eventually won that round. But you said, hey, just because there's a kill does not mean that this is Moguls' round. M80 usually find a way, and it was Zander walking forward, finding 2 kills, eeiu trading back Zander's death for 2 kills of his own. M80 were just that well-oiled machine on Pearl. Everybody was doing their part, and it wasn't just, the burden was not shouldered by Koala alone. And that takes us all the way to map 3, a map pool that looks good for both of these teams. I thought Haven and Pearl could have been enough for Moguls, but it looks like we'll have to see what their ascent looks like. And we'll do that on the other side of these highlights, where our desk rejoins us to break down the action we saw in Pearl.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. That's it. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Attack.
All right, well, we're going to be going through a map 3 for our series with Moguls and M80. M80 taking down Pearl. That was Moguls' map pick. And it was a map, when we're talking about Pearl, that we were kind of intrigued about with how M80 would perform, and I think they stacked up pretty well.
Yeah, it was looking like it was gonna be a much closer game. A sweep, because the half was 4-8. Moguls started off very strong. I feel like they were almost playing, dare I say, anti-Koala when they were on the attacking side. Whenever they were using their utilities and clearing out typical angles of where Koala was, that's when they were able to get that pick. On rounds that they didn't, once they swapped over on the defensive side, like we saw them walk into middle, and they didn't use their flashes and things to clear out the angles, that's when M80 was able to catch them off guard.
Yeah, it was another difficult game for Koala to do what Koala has typically done throughout the first split. He ends up finishing 16 and 17 with 190 ACS. But again, the player we praised coming into the series, who played really well for M80 in their opener during the MSF, it was Zander. He's 23 and 11. One of the interesting things, though, this is only the second time ever that johnqt has played Viper. The last time was during the groups on this map. It's the only times he's ever played Viper. He has more rounds as Chamber than he does as Viper, and he's typically a classic traditional Sentinel. He does not play that Sentinel quote-unquote role of Chamber that we saw in the past. So it's interesting to see the adaptation from M80. I do think it worked for the team. I think he's still like trying to figure things out, because to go from playing basically Killjoy and then a little bit of Cypher for a long time to then playing Viper, there's a lot that has to be adapted, but it did work. M80 looked really strong, specifically in the late round. This is something we talked about Moist being really good at, and in this case, M80 was actually the ones who were coming out on top a lot of these clutches, specifically in the post plants towards the B site. They looked really good there. Their defensive side, which has been their bread and butter throughout the groups and even through that first round, was not that great. It was really their attacking side where they really woke up and started to find their groove.
I feel like a lot of this series has been pretty topsy-turvy so far, kind of things that we setup or what we're expecting from the teams. We're kind of seeing a little bit of the opposite from. But going on to Ascent now. Wait, how are we feeling about Ascent? Because this is one that we also did talk about a little bit with our expectations of what we see from the teams, but with how things are shaking up in this series, do we change our expectations?
For me, no. I feel like we gave M80 the opportunity to build a momentum almost. They were looking much stronger once they swapped sides on Pearl. So I feel like they might have brought down the morale for Moguls going into the last map, because it looked like they were feeling like it was going to be a quick 2-0. So whenever that happens as a player, sometimes you can get into your own head when you're going to a third map that you didn't want to do because you should have closed it out. It was a 4-8 half on Pearl. So I'm a little bit worried for them going into Ascent. But, I mean, like we were saying, they have to prove themselves to everybody. Everybody thinks that they're not as good as their opponents. So I feel like they could pull through. It's just going to be about the mentality going into Ascent.
Looking at Ascent, this is a map that M80 is pretty strong on. They play a bit of a different composition. They go for a triple initiator. They go for Fade, Breach, and KO. They do not have a Sentinel, so again, not going to see johnqt in that comfortable role that we've seen in the past. This is also a map that we haven't seen from Moist since they became Moist. They played this in the first 2 weeks when they were playing as Breakthrough. They lost to G2. It was, I think, a 13-9 or a 13-8. They barely beat Oxygen 14-12. If you remember that series, they won both maps 14-12. But I don't necessarily look at those early matches as indicators for success, because the team was still sort of finding their footing coming into VCT or Challengers, I should say. So I'm not necessarily looking at that and going like, oh, that's definitely going to apply here. I am looking at the fact that M80 has more recently played this map, and it was strong. I think it was a 13-4 victory over Disguised in the opening round of the midseason faceoff. Obviously, that sets a pretty incredible statement when you come into the playoffs and you do that to the first team you face.
Yeah, I think their best chance going into this Ascent, like we were saying, is they have to be very, very cautious, very aware, make sure they're using all of their abilities, getting the info with their initiators, just clearing out angles and trying to play, again, I'm saying anti-Koala, but that's going to be their best bet. You don't want Koala to get comfortable in getting the picks and moving around the map.
And I mean, considering we haven't seen Moguls play this map in a hot second, we even gotten to see a pretty nice change, considering that we just saw them play on Wednesday into today and how they were kind of warming things up. So what we have on them from week 1, week 2 of our split is not something I necessarily want to be holding them to too much. So I'm really curious, Brawk, with how maybe they've adapted and are prepared for Ascent, having it come through into our maps in the first place.
I mean, it's important to remember that because we haven't seen them play it in a while, there's a chance they could have been workshopping the map, finding something that works out a little bit better for them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them change up their agent composition. Now, how good it'll be, big question mark. We don't really know because we haven't seen them play it since week 2, which was several weeks ago now at this point. On the flip side, you do have a pretty decent understanding of how M80 plays the map. You know the compositions they're going to come in with. I think that was a deciding factor on Haven. They've seen this team play that map with these comps many, many times. So as a result, there's a lot of trends to pick up on from M80. And don't forget, too, that Aproto and brawk are former teammates of this Ghost core that plays on M80. So they know even individual player styles and the way they're going to come into specific rounds. There's certainly a case to be made that Moist could take Ascent, but it's definitely going to be difficult just based on what we've seen from M80 and what we have not seen from Moist.
Yeah, and in my opinion, these two teams that we have here they have very different play styles. M80 is a lot more explosive, flooding, overwhelming, and then you have Moguls, who is much more passive. They like to do defaults and work the maps. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to be playing against each other, knowing that these two teams have these separate play styles.
I mean, we got to see earlier that with the two different play styles that Moguls were kind of stepping up and kind of putting that playstyle back onto M80, kind of forcing them to deal with some aggressiveness that they were coming out of the gate with. So heading into Ascent, I'm curious with how Moguls is going to adjust and how M80 is going to fare in. After it is ready, it's time to head over to our agent select and to our casters.
Map 3 is ready. Dryad, as we say goodbye to our desk for the final time in this series. I guess, well, before we finish the series. And we say goodbye to Tanner Mutro and say hello to Tanner Mitro. because my mic is turned on. Now, Dryad, we have to talk about something that's more important. It is M80 who are being pushed to their limits, quite literally, after losing map 1 and a very close map 2 in Moguls, who I feel at this point, this far in the series, you still have a lower bracket ahead of you, so a loss for either of these teams isn't the most detrimental. Yeah. Moguls, I feel they've got nothing to lose. They have nothing to prove here in this one. Win or lose, it's M80 who have to prove that after that loss to the Guard, who were kind of beckoned as the #1 team, and then M80 put the stats up for #1 team, M80 have so much pressure to win this one in a series that could quite possibly be upset by Moguls.
And that's the thing. I think every player that I've talked about and that I've heard of as well, they love being the dark horse. They love that dark horse story because they don't feel that pressure of, okay, we're the best team, we're supposed to win these easily. But they also are able to kind of quietly show what they got, right? It doesn't have to be super flashy. As long as you're getting away with these rounds, it's still going to be surprising for everybody watching that is not expecting this kind of victory. So for Moist, it's gonna be a little bit more of that. But yeah, the desk was talking about it. We haven't seen the composition for Moist in quite a long time, and we have a question on how it's gonna be playing out for both.
This has got to be a redo. This has got to be a redo. flyuh, Viper on Ascent.
Yeah.
Who let them?
What is going on?
Who let them cook? Who let them cook? The reason that this is so surprising, I feel there's been ideas and maybe some officials played where the Viper teams have flirted with the Viper on Ascent. It's not the first time that we've ever seen it. But I do want to mention flyuh's uncomfortability on Pearl. I thought that, if anything, this would be a map that flyuh needs to be on an agent that is going to work for him. And it's feels kind of like a gamble coming into map 3 to pick this Viper.
I mean, we really gotta see how this composition and this Viper specifically is gonna play out. Definitely something so different. But if challengers throughout that first split showed us something, is how creative some of these teams are and how much this creativity can pay off. So if you're on the side of Moist, that is what you're hoping for. But absolutely, yeah, not something that I think anybody was expecting at all. And on top of that, you're gonna have that duel that we've seen a couple times, right? But now we get to see for the last map that Sim and koalanoob, but both of them playing Jet this time around.
And you also have to remember, right? NiSMO on this on the KO, excuse me. You're 1-0 point away from none of this Viper utility working. They've got the read on the players here. NiSMO doesn't have, well, the knife, he doesn't have his life. NiSMO's gone. Sim gets one as that Nebula pops up. Now dashes forward right into the welcome arms of Zander, who says, come on in, I've got a couple bullets for you. Looks to find some more, but it's only damage. As Zander falls, brawk collects a kill. And the site's been taken by Moguls, but M80 are hot on their heels. They wanted to retake before that spike goes down, but they all get shut down. The massacre on the B site goes the way of Moguls.
With some early presence, and like you said, yeah, early on, a lot of those plays are gonna come down to NiSMO and NiSMO's positioning here throughout the map. The space here that is gonna be so crucial for is how Moist to take early on, especially as you start on the attacking side. And it goes the same way. They win the first pistol round. This time around, they're going for a heavier investment. It seems like there was a reset here. The air is a little different. I don't know, with this composition, with this aggressive playstyle that we saw towards that B side, and now goes all the way to A. Nobody to be found early on.
And Moguls taking a page out of M80's book with this buy, right? 3 rifles, 2 pistols, spike planted, full control of the A site for now, and you have to assume that M80 are just looking to waterfall one way or another. It should be shut down. Both pistols are out towards long. The rifles are the ones that are here on the site. We'll see how many they can hang on to as johnqt collects one with the classic. A dash onto the site means Koala finds another, closing the gap. Has actually got himself a rifle, but 19 HP. There's just not a whole lot you can do with this one. Nice one-way smoke just over the top of the spike. Koala can only pray for some damage on the way out.
19 HP as well. A round that is not going to be doable for M80 or for koalanoob. He was trying to save A rifle will be able to do just that. It's flyuh gonna take it down. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh, put one tally on the board for the Dryad caster curse.
It was right on the border. That's not even fair. Come on.
It was right on the
Heading to
border.
the above.
I do love that play from Koala though. Although flyuh can
Some stars in the astral
reinvest
plane.
and buy a rifle,
Should-do.
Koala
Yeah.
had rifle number 3. So
Yeah,
flyuh was
exactly.
hoping to get that gun, get out with it, because he was the one who only invested a pistol, have enough credits to buy it for the team and make the economy a little less lopsided, right? Thief only sitting on 500 credits doesn't feel good. This is, however, their bonus round, 2 M80s, full rifle round. However, that last one played out, whether good or bad, for M80. It's full across the board for all 10 players.
Can't use that.
It was a strong buy, right? It could go a similar way to what we saw M80 do on Pearl when they got that early presence, but that was the second half here for Moist. They'd like to take this advantage as early as possible. And again, as still, we get to see a little bit more of the Viper play. With the first time that we see it in Challengers so far. It's a composition that has been played internationally with a Viper. Played by Loud before, but in Challengers something else to prove, and so far at least it works out. NiSMO, oh no way, Zander as well going down. Sim, no giving them any space to work with.
Oh man, NiSMO must have had some popcorn before this one. Fingers a little slippery. That flash did not go where he had hoped it did, and Sim took full advantage of that one, and flyuh now gets to play the lurk. I guess the best part about this Viper utility is it's fire and forget if you get to play around the map. You're not tethered by anything, like the Omen or like the
3v3,
Sentinel.
yeah.
Koala neutralizes. And here comes the lineup. You can tell they've done their homework. flyuh so disconnected from the play. Everything up to Thief. Try and clutch it out. Now Koala will hop onto the spike, getting this one halfway, looking to stick it the full way here. Here come the snake bites, and now flyuh needs to get it done. Mr. Multi-kill, can you do it? This spike is defused halfway. eeiu runs him down, but does he have enough time for the defuse? Sounds like he just might. I think Koala's done enough in sticking it there. The lineups were not good enough, and M80 find their first round.
And just in time, yeah, 1 second. And M80 are able to secure that first round. Pretty early on, though, crazy back and forth. The snake bite as well, not doing enough damage, guaranteeing that Spike is gonna get half defuse and
One enemy
the
remaining.
aggressive play that Sam wanted to execute.
One enemy remaining.
Ends up getting no value for the round, so I think at this point, this is where it gets difficult, right? Because M80 starts to find
Get out
how
of
this
my
play
way.
style around the Viper has been working out. This time around with the wall towards B side. Gonna find something from Kyle's. Doesn't get anything.
Oh man, okay, well 3 of 5 knives
does it.
used, and flyuh's not happy with how that last round turned out.
I think he heard you.
Yeah.
I think
My
he
bad.
heard you.
My bad. I said Mr. Multi-kill, he did not get one this round. He is it's definitely shaping up that way. He's gonna work forward with Sim. Now 2 knives for Sim, but he finds himself a rifle. Meanwhile, one of the defenders sneaks inside the smoke here, that being Zander. Are they ready for this? They do their due diligence. No, not like this. He's got himself the judge, and well, there's one execution. Make it 2 as Aproto and Thief fall to the shotgun, and Zander wants some more. Pushes aggressively. Nope, will swap weapons. A bit more damage onto flyuh, but there's the multi-kill that we talked about. M80
There
slowly
he is.
slipping through their hands this round. Zander tried to reel it back in. Unfortunately, it's all left up to johnqt, who's got himself
The last of them.
1 HP because of the decay. A 1v3. brawk will run him down, and Moist Moguls back in the win column.
And the pace here feeling a little bit more like we saw in that first map. So quick, so explosive between the two teams, but Moist being able to get away with it at least early on. And honestly, I just gotta say, if I was going against Zander, I'd be crying. The amount of kills that he has gotten with the judge throughout this match is insane. I mean, it just shouldn't be happening at all. But, I mean, that's how you take advantage of your own character, of your agent and the gun as well. As for this round at least, M80 going for a safe round here. That means depends a little bit more on Koala. I'll be pushing forward. It gets spotted though.
Oh, he goes back for it. That is the Koala way. Unfortunately, he walks away. Worse for wear, 52 HP. No way to get that health back. And he's one of 3 defenders here on the B side. He's been blinded up by the paranoia. Rolling the one to take him down. Stunned up with johnqt, and these pistols, just not enough. Well, pistols and the knives. How about a shorty? eeiu, he's going to try his hand. Backside clear. They jump on through. He still gets his one, but shortly this round continues to go the way of
So
most Moguls.
fast. And the cool thing about that Viper as well is that when you see that wall, even if an Koala tried to go for that swing and to play a little more aggressive, you're gonna be lower in HP at least for a couple seconds, and those are the seconds that you needed. Look at Zander, I can't.
Toxin screen
Those
down.
are the couple seconds, right, that you need for Moist to be able to react in time and at least guarantee there's gonna be no chances for koalanoob into that round with that Blade Storm. As yeah, Moist, they're gonna get the 4th round. Zander, I don't think you get anything with this one this time around.
Yeah, I think Zander chucked those stars to hopefully make the top side of the map a little less desirable to escape through. And then that way they would come through main or out towards mid, and maybe that shorty does get some value. But either way, it's just minus 300 credits for those 2 stars spent, but a full buy here, and Koala's got himself the operator. This is, I believe, the first of the maps where these teams don't share the same strong side and the same weak side. So here on the attack, Moist Moguls need to get as much as possible. See if they can do that.
Yeah, although it's different, right? Because again, we haven't seen Moist play this map in quite some time, and also, I mean, we've talked about how different this composition looks for them. It's good to see them finding that early success, but still a long way to go. And the question, right, how much time did they have to break down and fully understand the role each one of them, and the amount of different situations that can play out, and ahead is all you need to look at as koalanoob takes down Sim.
Yeah, koalanoob does not need much. One strand of hair,
That's enough.
some dry skin hanging off the elbow. That's enough for Koala to find a kill with the operator, and they know the op is here. It looks like they're gonna reach out this 0 point. Hopefully he reveals too much. flyuh, no way! Crouches his way on through, finds that kill on the operator. NiSMO is vulnerable, but still finds that kill in response. 2 players fighting this cross out towards tree.
Spike
That's the
down
spike
A.
down. Stripped from the hands of
30
brawk.
seconds left.
Moist Moguls with 30 seconds left. I mean, they've just been left with nothing of this round.
And the last couple of rounds were a little bit faster, a little bit more explosive towards
One
those
enemy
sites.
remaining.
This time around, as they don't have the numbers, becomes more difficult. Zander good for 3, and that's another point, right? Zander, one of the best overall that we saw on Pro, really allowed things to turn around and go the way of M80, and he's continuing this performance for map number 3.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Koala. eeiu as well. Also, Dust is probably a little sad that he's not on the desk today to talk about this eeiu gamer that he always gets to hype up, but those have kind of been the 2. But as you mentioned, Zander really holding his own on the server today. Just proving that you don't just have to worry about Koala and the operator. You have to worry about this lockdown defense on this A site from both NiSMO and Zander combined.
Because of that, slowly but surely, M80 is trying to fight for that control a little bit more early on, get that presence. We've seen it before. We see it again with koalanoob towards that B side, holding the operator still.
Poison orb emitting.
Moist, they'd like to go for this A side. It's expected though.
Poison's off.
Yeah, the KO waiting on the other side.
Blocking sight.
And they get the fragment, but the cost of that has been 40 seconds. Finally, they look to hit this site. Sim a little disconnected. Rolling Thunder comes on through to try and slow things down, and that's more time off the clock. And if you're Moist Moguls, you can't commit to anything here. flyuh finally going to work his way on through. Finds the first, but 2 more defenders here on the site. And johnqt has the high ground and continues to find the frags as Zander gets 3 of his own, sprays them down. flyuh walks right into it. Decayed and now gone as M80 work to tie us up once more.
In that positioning for Zander, it is exactly what you have to be expecting for the controller, for the Astra, but it still manages to be a surprise factor when the time is running out, when the execute is finally attempting to come through.
One enemy remaining.
Or Moist Moguls with no value at all. Zander good for 3, putting him at the top of the board. As Moist try to answer back, try to fight back. A lockdown you're hoping is going to be different, but attempting to be contested early on this B control by Koala.
Sim trying to get a little ratty, has the judge, but it's a lot harder to get value with that weapon on the attack unless somebody pushes aggressively. And although Koala hasn't given up the angle, he's not as aggressive as he once was here inside B main.
There's something as well that the other side, the attacking side of Moist, is expecting. So yeah, koalanoob forced to back up. Nobody to be found yet, though.
Ooh, and it's, oh my goodness, okay, the operator turns shotgun as he finds Sim's head again through the utility, through the smoke. Will punish flyuh for standing right in the opening. The spray comes through. brawk 1 HP, Aproto 85, and a 2v5. This one, again, just not winnable. Aproto will find one, make it 2. NiSMO there, just too many defenders to worry about. And around that Moist Moguls, they invested quite a bit, but M80 take it and tie us up.
Good read from M80. Knows how often that lockdown ends up on that B side. Fights for that early control and ends up getting it. That's all you needed. And on top of that, you have just the perfect timing for koalanoob. And it goes back to something that we got to see early on, especially in that map number 1. Some rounds where koalanoob was playing it to perfection, getting so many of those first bloods. And if it continues to be this way, M80 can be set up for success. The map number 3 tries to move forward in the winner's bracket.
Poison's gone.
There it is.
Put that in the list of things you hate to see. Koala finds another one, goes fishing, finds flyuh. Although it's not the best buy, you're definitely hoping for a bit more from Moist. And guess what? Mr. Man is repositioned. Finds another kill with the operator. Aproto can't quite win the duel against NiSMO. Unfortunately, because of that lost duel out towards mid and NiSMO being able to escape, and the numbers just keep dwindling for Moist Moguls.
This kind of approach is not... It's something that we've seen too much, but I would love to see more on this of Moist, right? Going for that mid control. Trying to take market. Which worked for one of those rounds that they won early on, but now it's to do it again. Especially when you're trying to make the numbers even. Go for that aggressive approach, but on the other side, I mean, kill the players waiting, eeiu's gonna take care of the first one.
Good aftershock from johnqt. Okay,
What?
nice shot from brawk. This one, it's still not incredibly doable, but looking a bit more so as walks right into the sight lines of koalanoob with 12 seconds on the clock. Not a whole lot to get done there for brawk. So a tough round for Moist Moguls again. M80, they continue to tally up here on the defense. They grab themselves the lead, and Koala has yet been found an answer for.
Poison's gone. Poison's gone.
And the economy here, it wasn't the best for this set of Moist, but I mean, koalanoob, this is the way they're gonna build a confidence. I mean, just go for it. M80 playing with this composition that they never had to deal with before, at least on these officials of challengers, and managing to deal with it to perfection. And I think that is the difference maker here for M80, because the maps that we've seen is the early advantage, first half advantage for Moist. That then in that last map it was met by M80, but now they're taking things into their own hands very, very early on, thanks to koalanoob, thanks to Zander as well, a couple rounds ago. As yeah, Moist, they take that early timeout because of it. This is not a situation that they had to deal with before throughout the day.
And I can only imagine the stands, the bleachers on the side of M80 going crazy with the cowbells, everybody cheering on. Well, mostly Koala's fam cheering on M80. We have the same thing throughout all the watch parties for Moist Moguls. A little bit quieter on their side. As you mentioned, Moist Moguls usually off to a hot start at the start of this. 7-5 map 1, 8-4 map 2, and now they have to put 3 in a row. They want to grab the lion's share of the first half like they've done in the 2 previous maps, and looking unlikely.
Big round here. Crucial round for Moist. As they've been stacking now those ultimates at this point. Being contested. And this is the thing that I mentioned. This is kind of what I wanted to see. That mid control turn into market control. But koalanoob, look at this angle. Waiting for it. And flyuh goes down.
There's no Killjoy, but somehow there's still a Killjoy turret. Given an operator. Koala played up on top of the boxes. Backs away with the knives. We'll see if he goes fishing once more. That he does. Unfortunately, does not find a big catch there. Lockdown uses. The null command was hot on the heels, but they get it off just in time. So just about 8 seconds chipped off the clock as the spike kicks down. Thief locked down inside B main. No real way to cross. Some util tossed at his feet. NiSMO gonna try and clear the angle. Paranoia queued up, but not needed. A sim takes down 2. Hasn't yet to fall. And the attackers turn defenders, doing a pretty good job keeping this site in their favor. Sim low in HP. Koala has to deal with the turret. Goes in with the knives, but cannot pull the weapon out in time. As johnqt left to try and pick up the pieces, but he goes crumbling down himself. Thief to collect the last kill, and Moist Moguls to tie us up.
And going back to the B control, finally working out so much better. No thanks to Sim being able to step it up. I said it early on, right? That round, crucial one before things would go the wrong way if you're on the side of Moist. And so to stay alive, they finally invest that and they get to use that lockdown with a Viper split coming next. koalanoob loves fighting for the spot.
And although this wall helps this walk up, you also don't know what's going to be on the other side. They're ready for it, though. Just as we see it on the desk, Sim knows that Koala wants to fight for B main. A couple of cloud bursts later. And welcome back. The next round, Sim finds a double kill again. johnqt. Uh-oh. Stuck on the site this time. Basically a 1v5. He's low in HP. They look to work their way through the smoke. John continues to spray. It's only a classic, but he does find his one. Zander battles back for another. Unfortunately, 2 kills is not 5. 3 kills, however, a bit closer. The round will still go the way of Moist Moguls, and I may have caster cursings, right? I said 7-5. Wasn't looking doable, but they call a timeout and they put 2 in a row together.
Good timeout, yeah, when we got to see it. And it seems like it really was the first time that that kind of situation had to happen. When Moist, at least in that half, they found themselves with the back against the wall, looking for an opportunity, and they were able to find just that towards that B side and that mid control. That seems like in the earlier rounds, in the messier rounds towards A, was something that they could not get. Thanks to koalanoob, thanks to Zander, but an aggressive one again. koalanoob, even more aggressive. A shot down by brawk. And again, the jet no longer going to be available for this round for M80.
That hurts. Another round of koalanoob. Just doing things on his own. No way for a trade, playing so deep. Not even deep inside main, deep inside the spawn, just about.
Yeah.
NiSMO here was trying to help him at the start of that round. Now hopefully hold on to the round. His knives on the opposite side. Sim forced it back away. Aproto picks up a good couple of kills here. All the initiators are dealt with. Zander has to work his way all the way across the map. Trudge through the swamp and win a 1v5 to tie us up at the half. Otherwise, most Moguls have done a pretty incredible feat, coming back from 4 to 5. They put 3 in a row together. They go sheets flawless here in the last round of the half, and they grab the lion's share once more.
In third map, but also third time for Moist. They have the advantage in the first half. Starting on the defense, starting on the attacking side here. They're able to do it all. Even when it seems like it was getting too risky, where M80 had just the right read with the operator in the right place, right time, but it doesn't matter. Moist, they find an answer right at the end. They're able to play those big advantages that they had with his composition. And I think this is where we're gonna get to see a little bit more of M80, right? The fade has been a little more quiet for this attacking team.
Knife deployed.
The difference here in this one, though, Koala wanted to get aggressive on defense. Was looking to do so, got punished for it. This time, when Koala gets aggressive, the rest of the team is going to be behind him. He will have the help that he needs. So there is a world where maybe bring this one back, and it all starts with the pistol round. Seems like Koala and eeiu have sniffed out just enough freedom out towards B to want to try and hit this site.
But like, I mean, Moist, that they have something that M80 doesn't right now, and it is that killjoy utility towards that B side. It's actually just that sentinel role in general. It is gonna make holding down these sides a little bit easier. So B is gonna be that real test to deal with as Aproto playing all the way back. And M80, they find themselves across the map looking for a pick, looking for a kill. Nothing yet. 35 seconds.
Now the footsteps are heard. That snake bite's so strong here in the pistol round. A couple of players vulnerable as NiSMO wants to push through. He makes it onto the side successfully. Is blinded up by the paranoia. Thief dealt with, however. Zander works his way on up. A beautiful flash will force flyuh away. And a player down. Our Moist Moguls here in this retake.
Thief just with too much to take care of for that round could not do it. And with the crossfire for everybody trying to jump down from heaven. No chance. And shot down immediately. 2 kills for koalanoob at Aproto, the last one alive. They know exactly where he's gonna be. And it's gonna be the pistol round for M80. That's crazy. Every single one of the pistol rounds have gone the same way. First one, Moist looking pretty good, and then M80 answering right back.
Two things that I think are big takeaways from that round. One, if Aproto kills NiSMO there, I think there's an argument that he could win the rest of that round. Everybody was so low, just needed to find a couple of headshots. 2, before that moment, I love the comms were probably, okay, guys, I'm breaking door from Aproto, and then everybody died. And he's still stuck. He's still fighting this door like it's like season 1 of Critical Role. And the team is just dead around him, and he's left in a 1v5. So shoots flawless for the pistol round. Like you mentioned, the second one usually going the way of M80. Not much of a fort, I should say. Sim does have a sheriff. Does not land that first shot. And with 3 players there, 2 classics and a sheriff, I wouldn't quite say that this A side is on lockdown.
3 Vandals, though, for the side of M80. On this attacking side. In the meantime, Moist, are they expecting this?
That's not ready.
Oh, no way, the classic does it.
That hurts. They expected some type of aggression out towards mid. Not that aggression, though, as Koala gets 2 back, somehow finds a transfer through the smoke. A couple of kills still found on the side of Moist Moguls, making this one hurt. eeiu gonna try and back up and find those rifles that was brought into this round, bolster his own arsenal just a bit. Brawk and Aproto fortunately disconnected across the map. Brawk to drop down. They're not ready for this low angle as the fragment goes out. Brawk's got a classic. Brawk's got a flash. He's gonna try and right-click, find the kill, stop the plant, but he's dealt with. Now it's all up to Aproto, and unfortunately, he hasn't brought that handy-dandy, that trusty sheriff into this one. It's only a classic again for the killjoy.
Target destroyed.
The same situation again. Maybe a little more doable when it comes to the 2 players alive, but still a classic at hand. The utility as well to get that info. So much more difficult for Aproto, yeah. And 20 HP and finally taken down. I'm worried the suffering is over for Aproto on that round 14, but things are tied up again. 7-7.
Why did Aproto make that look doable for so long? I think his first shot did some damage to Koala. And the next one, right click.
I think Aproto,
yeah.
It just always makes it look doable. I mean, it's him.
Yeah, that's awkward to say the least for Aproto to be stuck in those situations. We go back to it though. M80. Pretty strong bonus still. They brought 2 rifles into this one. They reinvest a couple more, it seems. And the economy in a really strong spot for the most part. Meanwhile, Moist Moguls, this is a must-win round in terms of economy and in terms of being reset in Sim on the receiving end of some damage early. Doesn't feel good to start.
Still waiting.
Wanted to play more aggressive. This is kind of the style that we're used to seeing for M80, and it would be insane if it managed to work out again.
Wow.
Shutting it down. Sim good for 2. koalanoob trying to answer back. The only one full HP in his team. There's a 2v3 here.
One enemy
That was
remaining.
so huge. Beautiful timing there from Sim. He worked his way across the map. Now johnqt,
What a way to die.
just nothing to do there. So much to worry about. Had the spike, but was stuck. Pushing his way onto the site. Moist Moguls show signs of life with rifles in their hands. And I think I've come to a realization that the wingman sounds are just amplified sounds of players walking on B site on this map.
Wait, what?
I swear, if we could get a replay of
Placing alarm bot.
the first player who walked on site, it might have been.
Have you heard how loud he is, by
No, it's
the way?
amplified. It's amplified.
Wingman is just so loud for no reason.
I think this is at least inspiration from the sound comes from here. As brawk back to it, good information to get started early. Koala wanted to get aggressive, but it'll be stalled out by that nano swarm.
And each team finding their ways to slow down this B main push. I can only do it for so long. Oh, 5 players of M80 here.
Oh man, and that's how you want to get started. Koala goes up top, looks to find another good reveal, has a bucky, just sends it through. There's the shotgun style coming to fruition. Sim, however, neutralizes Koala. In this one, only allows him to find 2, dashes away to safety. A 3v4 with all 3 on the top side of the map. Moist Moguls gonna be working together against a healthy defensive M80 as they've got the spike planted at their feet. Logs player not quite spotted. eeiu is eventually going to take Sim down. It's not eeiu to get one more on the way out. Instead, it's johnqt, and just about everybody gets a piece of the pie as we tie up once more.
And you always have to look at the stats that we got the chance to see at the beginning of this match. But even on this match alone, the first kill is going to koalanoob, and the way that they convert into the round victory for M80. It just happens way too often. koalanoob is such an unpredictable player. I mean, he's going to be updrafting and managing to get a kill, or he's going to be playing aggressive, dashing into site. He's done about everything. And that's what makes him hard to predict, and that's how he gets away with the first bloods more often than not. But Sim gonna do a little bit more of the same. Not
That's
gonna work
crazy.
out though. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. There was... I don't know what the call was from Moist Moguls. There was literally nothing there for him.
This is a good read that M80 have, and they've always had throughout challengers. Every single one of these players
Face your fear.
expecting the aggression, especially for M80. The flash is good. Trying to enter the
Spike down B.
Just about all the kills
Remaining.
going the way of M80. They're making sure that it is all the kills. They only lose one in NiSMO before closing out the round. M80 grab a lead 9-8. I think it's some extra credits on the way out. I'm sorry, I'm still lost as to... Sim was left out to dry times a million. There was nothing behind him. There wasn't a flash over the top. There wasn't anything. It was
yeah.
quite literally a single player game. And he's fighting 5 bosses outside in B main.
And that's the thing, koalanoob went for that kind of same approach of playing aggressive all by himself. And it was a high risk, high reward kind of play. Where because it's so quiet, because there's nothing else, it can be unpredictable. But in the meantime, what is predictable is that push from the defense of Moist. There's that A side 2 already going down.
Throwing caution to the wind here in this round. A lesser buy, so try and play strength in numbers, sacrifice their body just a bit. Unfortunately, just results in 2 deaths for the Moguls. Damage still possible. The Sheriff's a stinger. Fortunately, Sim won't be the one to do any economic damage outside of reinvestment in shields for one. Aproto, however, will decapitate his first as the Deadeye. He looks to go out for some more. He wasn't ready for the jump up. Zander with 15 HP needs to be a little more careful. Try and hang on to his weapon and his economy. This round, more will belong to M80.
And this is a point of concern if you're on the side of Moist. When The plays and the execution, it gets a little bit more messy when it comes to the retakes. The timings doesn't seem right. They don't quite seem like what we saw on the map number 1, right? Where everything was so well planned. Everybody holding those positions until the very, very end of their round. But here it is a kind of aggression that is finally punishing the set of Moist as they take another timeout. And it is not impossible, but it's just being able to take it, not only win those 2 rounds, but take it the distance with players that are playing around the utility so much, when what you really need to take into account is how explosive koalanoob has been. And that utility is not gonna do anything for that situation. koalanoob is not slowing down at all.
No, not at all. You would also expect maybe flyuh was hoping for more value on defense. I mean, Viper, usually Astra Viper, but Viper does a pretty good job stalling teams out. As you mentioned, Koala looks anything but that. 24 and 12. I would just love to see at this point, you know, if Sim is going to get crazy, that there's something behind it. This is one of those last-ditch efforts where you're running out of buy rounds from Moist Moguls. In the last 2 rounds, the knives from Sim, and then the eco round after that, it feels that Moist Moguls feel maybe it's a little chalked, as Aproto will find the first, but he's traded out almost immediately. Rolling Thunder expended, though, in this round. The Viper's Pit gets nothing out towards B. Another kill traded back and forth, and johnqt, the next one up. NiSMO finds the response onto Steve. A bit lower in HP as a Cosmic Divide comes through, making it that much harder to push back and retake this A site. But a good snake bite. Finds vulnerability. Seekers go out. We'll confirm information on a close one inside the Cloudburst. NiSMO shares that space with Sim, and Zander closes out the last 2 kills needed for an 11th for M80.
Oh, there's just no chance. Moist take that timeout. They try to play it different. Aproto gets 1, but there was just too much to deal with, especially that Rolling Thunder. That reposition for NiSMO to play inside that Cloudburst. Everything for M80. You can tell they're feeling this game. You can tell that they're ready to get things over with. And to get that 2-1 victory as Moist once again continue to fight to even things out on the defensive side. 3 players on this A side. A quick entry.
Fast.
Yeah.
And Deep's the only one. Okay, never mind. Sam on a close angle here, trying to play the cross. No help just yet as we go back and forth once more. But last time, this ended in favor of M80, but brawk has been the linchpin here. eeiu and johnqt, last 2 alive, yet to get that spike planted. Aproto going to invest the lockdown here to secure the round. That spike gets planted. eeiu and johnqt, sure, they're forced to back away. Oh, the spike didn't get planted. Stopped last moment.
It never got planted, so. In the meantime, for M80, they get to back up. johnqt playing towards 1, and nobody from the side of Moist is going to be pushing. They know the value of these numbers. They've had these numbers advantages before, and they've lost rounds just like this, so being careful, being patient is everything that they need.
Surprising to me that they leave this door closed. They won't see the cross. They'll still have to deal with that one here in a moment. That reload definitely hurt. Spike plant hurt as well. Trailblazer through. Spike delayed once more. eeiu have to try and keep johnqt alive. A good fault line. Keep the defense at bay for now. Flash up and over the top. eeiu dealt with johnqt next up, and brawk makes quick work. The last 2 remaining. This was brawk's round, and he brings us within 2.
And there it is. That's the kind of play that we're used to seeing for Moist. Moguls a little more coordinated when it comes to going and really taking advantage of the numbers that they have. They need to keep this one going, though, and that's when it gets scary. How much can you replicate it? The rounds have been so explosive, maybe the most explosive that we've seen throughout, because of the playstyle of these 2 teams. Because you're used to seeing Sim going down, getting those multi-kills, koalanoob doing the exact same thing. And the approach, it changes for Moist, guarantees the round. the defense as well, with a long way to go if they want to win against one of the best teams that we have in Challengers.
Long way to go. 2 rounds to tie us up. 4 rounds to get it done. Otherwise, overtime maybe in the cards. I think that'd be pretty fitting for this series to take us to an overtime. And just when Moguls were figuring out the fast attack of M80 on Haven, M80 slowed it down. That's exactly what they do here.
Yeah, but you can expect once they go into the side, it's going to be so explosive. They're going to let themselves known in every single way. So first pick with the easier indication that the push is going to be coming through, and koalanoob looking for it. Going to get spotted. No, at least one of the players pushing towards catwalk.
And obviously, if the time doesn't tell you, they know. Moguls know that they're looking to play this one slow. A Prowler herd out towards mid, a flash out towards A main, and guiding light for extra information. Let you know that M80 are spread all across the map right now, but they want to end up on this A site. Sim will take the first shot, unfortunately doesn't land it. Meanwhile, Koala and the rest of the team, they cross through tree and they get to the site, but they don't do it without bloodshed. 25 HP on one, 19 on another.
Everybody alive though, and it seems like we're moist. This is kind of the thing that they've been waiting for.
They know they're on the other side. Hearing the footsteps, eeiu, the linchpin here, playing that late lurk. Zander to find the first. NiSMO steps up for the next, but can't quite deal with it. eeiu, there he is on the pinch, but it's eeiu with 2. And the 2 are so very low, but they go unchecked. Sim will have to deal with the player just underneath. The fault line does not land, and johnqt doesn't care how much HP he's got. He'll find the 1v1 win, and M80 push us to map and series point.
M80 with the insane trades coming through, and we've seen it especially on the second half. It is one of the things that throughout Challengers we're guaranteeing map victories, round victories, and the match victories at the end for M80. Even if their rounds get expensive, even if they lose 3-4 members, they're always trading. And you see it back and forth, positioning so good towards that A side. Now they're 1 away from pushing on this winner's bracket. Behind the Seeker is the only thing available for Moist. That it has to be frustrating. They had good ideas, good chances, good opportunities, but M80 just having the upper hand for this one.
Yeah, and Omen players around the world cursing you right now for not mentioning Thief's ultimate, but I don't blame you, because there's not a whole lot that you can get done with that. So, you're right. Basically, Seeker's the only thing available, unless Thief shows us some crazy tech. He will have it for a fast rotate.
I mean, now johnqt has the Rolling Thunder, which is the strongest out of all the ultimates that have been mentioned so far. So, a chance here, once again, to play a little quiet, a little bit slower early on for M80, but the explosive play that, you know, is just around the corner.
Again, clock ticking away. Seeker's out. Seeker's revealed 2 players out towards B. Maybe 1 mid, but they're making this one look like an A hit. That spike is not yet committed. Zander is going to push through his own fragment. Both players will go on through. And eventually, they'll gain not only control of this A site, but all the way into the spawn. M80 want to go. Rolling Thunder through that site. Thief put in an awkward spot as he's stunned up and eventually will be taken down. Zander makes sure of it. With 14 seconds, there's plenty of time. brawk the next to go, and M80, they're looking to find themselves in the upper finals, and they're looking to do it with 2 more kills. It's all up to Aproto. He's unsuspecting of the angle. eeiu closes us out, and M80 do it in 3.
M80 with the victory at the end, and that reverse sweep that we got to see after first